the fucking monopoly on it, though.
No,
Florida man
no,
this,
no.
Florida man this, Florida man that. It's
What?
always Florida.
No.
I want you to
Hang
look at the
on.
leak for a blast of the magnitude that I
Oh,
just.
oh, when Jay Brown gets in here, we can start playing with Nuke Map all we want. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. You got to remember. What state is Dr. Dino in?
Florida.
No.
Not
No.
Florida.
No, he's in
Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah.
On
He,
the
he
topic
had
of
to
Florida,
move after his
you know-
son evicted him.
there's specifically it is specifically illegal in Florida to have sex with a porcupine.
Wait,
Yes.
what?
Things that
And
don't
then
need to
Florida,
be illegal.
and then Florida had to come up with a law like that indicates the problem.
It is what?
Yeah.
Illegal to what?
No, it is legal.
Specifically illegal to have sex with a porcupine.
Who would try to do that?
Have you met Kent Hovind?
Florida man, that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
But wait, Jared, you forget what that area of Pensacola and the surrounding
No, I
area
don't.
is called.
Yeah, it's lower
There- there's
Alabama.
There's a reason why they call it Floribama.
Yeah, because it's lower Alabama. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, I spent enough time there. I know the dumb fuckery that's there.
Same here. We were both stationed at Pensacola.
Oh, but my experience goes beyond just that, because, for some reason, my brother got drugged down from New England down to Alabama.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Oh, you
he
wish.
he was chasing tail, wasn't he, Jared?
No, he already caught it. That's the problem.
Oh.
Wow.
Um,
I'm wow. Holy fuck. Oh my god. No, this blast radius that Tornado just sent me. Oh my fucking god. I'm in the kill zone. And I live in Missouri.
Oh, yeah, no, that's where we will be taking a look at that in a bit. But in the meantime, who here actually watched the? You know what? Let's just call it what it was: the murder that took place on Marvel Girls channel.
let me guess.
I did.
Kent Hovind was nuked from orbit.
Oh,
Yeah.
I watched
Yep.
it.
Of course I watched it. I was modding the side chat for it. Amongst others.
Alan, did you catch my comments in there?
I-
Yeah, Sean Carroll saw that Hovind murder. He sure did. Oh man,
I-
it was brutal. I felt bad for Ken Hovind legitimately.
At one point, I did, and then he started trying to grandstand, and I had to tell him, Ken,
Oh right.
no grandstanding. Oh.
Well, see, but it's his Bible. It can't be wrong. Here's a hint. Your Bible can be wrong. This comes from a former Church of Christ minister. Get bent, sir.
But it was never proven wrong, so...
Actually, you know what? I would be happy if Kent would agree to join us tonight, and it'd just be me and Kent.
Oh no, I'd get in on the fun too.
Oh,
Fuck
you get-
that.
Yeah, I would too.
From the side. Mostly where I'm going to debate him from is the stance of Scripture.
I would
Because
be-
I've
that
probably
last
forgotten more than I've probably forgotten more of the scriptures than that man had to memorize to get his internet doctorate degree.
Well,
where his thesis starts with,
Hi.
"Hello, my name is Kent Hovind."
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a problem. Now, just remember, guys.
I doubt
No.
that he ever wrote an exegesis.
Now, here's the thing you got to remember. I was in there and had to listen to it raw, and actually had to deal with him for a time before we went live, as I was finishing getting everything lined up on screen, and wow, just wow.
Jared, I have a version of Genesis that I think you'll find much better and much more fun. Would you
Oh.
mind if I presented it for a minute?
Go for it.
In the beginning, the Unity gang created radar. And the radar was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the PPI. And the spirit of the Unity gang moved upon the circuit diagrams. When the Unity gang said, "Let there be a power supply," and there was a power supply. And the Unity gang saw that the power supply, and that it was good. And the Unity gang divided the power supply with an on-off switch and a light, which was often in darkness. And the Unity gang called the light on, and the darkness he called off. And the on-off switch and the light was the first day.
Yeah, so far, much, much better.
And then the Unity gang said, "Let there be wiring in the midst of the system, and let there be dividers to control the potentials." And the Unity gang made the wiring and the dividers, and it was so. And the Unity gang caused the potentials to be divided and the wiring to carry current. And the evening and the morning were the second day.
Okay, that's not funny anymore. And that's just coming from a Christian.
But it's beautiful, and that's coming from an electronics engineer.
Yeah, that's why I said Jared would love it.
And I like that. And it comes from a Christian. So, you're one out of two Christians here, Alan. Keep going.
And the Unity gang said, "Let there be magnetrons and klystrons, and let the modulators appear."
Klystrons?
Klystrons, yes.
I have a radar in my area
they are a high power. Well, in my case, it was a power valve that worked in the S band, 3 gigahertz, and was 7 feet tall, and was powered by a voltage of 120,000 volts at 100 amps. Because klystrons are cool.
Could we convince Kent Hoban to actually voluntarily touch a energized klystron?
I doubt it.
I would love to see 100 volts.
No. This was
electrical current.
This was 120,000 volts pushing 100 amps.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'd love to see 100 amps. I'd love to see 100 amps at any voltage. I'd love to see 100 volts or 100 volts or 100 amps at any voltage to just course through his body.
I literally have a radar in my area that's operated by Spectrum Bay News 9. It's called Klystron 9. So I kind of found that a little bit funny.
So from the live chat, I do have to agree with Menace to Sobriety on this one. Let's be honest. Hovind does well in debates. I mean, he never wins, but he debates valiantly.
Of course, his whole debate tactic is, "Oh, that's all fake. Now listen to my stuff in the Bible."
No, you're forgetting something. Buy my videos, buy my videos, buy my videos. It's in the Bible. Look.
Oh yeah, he always knows exactly which video he's pulling his lines from. It's actually amazing. I'm actually impressed by the degree to which he has it all down. He knows exactly which of his bullshit claims can be found in which of his videos that you can buy.
It's because his script hasn't changed in 25 years.
Still, it's an impressive level of dedication to memorizing your own ability to shill yourself.
Well, you've had 25 years to do it. You would get rather good at it.
Hold on, Dapper Dino. Is that a picture of Mothra in the background?
It's not just Mothra. Godzilla's also there, and so is King Ghidorah, because that's a picture from GMK. Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, All Out, or was it All Monsters Attack? Or no, All Out Giant Monsters Attack is the full title.
Giant Monsters All Out Attack.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculously long. It's GMK. And actually, Baragon is in there in the tiny little bottom right corner.
I see you are a cultured man.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Actually,
couldn't you tell by the top hat and the monocle?
No, I could tell by the Godzilla poster in the background.
Wait a second. Actually, the best poster from any movie from that era genre would be Kill All Monsters.
From the what was it, the third to last Showa film?
Yeah.
Which was supposed to be. I think that was the first time that they announced this is going to be the last Godzilla film.
Yeah.
It's also the first one where Godzilla attacks America.
Don't remember that one.
Yeah, Godzilla attacks New York City.
Wait, what? It wasn't Matthew Broderick there for that one?
No, that was a different movie. That was titled Godzilla. Has nothing to do with Godzilla. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Fortunately for all of us, you can actually see the actual Godzilla attack New York if you watch Kill All Monsters, which is also chronologically the last of the Showa era films.
Wait a minute, Burns. What the hell do you have going on now?
Poor man. I'm the poor man Dapper.
Yeah, you know what?
It's a fucking laughter with a bubble pipe.
Oh, by the way, since Jim Brown is here, you said something about the nuke map?
Let him get settled. He did just cook dinner, because keep in mind, time zones are a thing.
True.
Yeah.
Then again, what would I know about time zones? I live in the only real one.
What,
bullshit.
I'm just messing with you.
Zulu is the only real
time
one.
zone is the only real time zone.
All hail the Zulu.
The only real all hail the Zulu, yes. Thank God I live in the Zulu.
So with the debate, I think my favorite thing though is just how many times Kent was forced to say I don't know about a topic, because he absolutely hates admitting ignorance, and he had to say that he didn't know what an allele was, he didn't know what isochron dating was, and what was there was a third thing. What else didn't he know?
Kent Hovind admits he doesn't
EVR.
know?
EVR.
Yeah. ERVs, yeah.
ERVs,
Endogenous retroviruses. He had to admit on camera out loud that he didn't know what an ERV was, he didn't know what isochron dating was, and he didn't know what an allele is. That is amazing.
Fantastic.
So pretty much everything Cat's brought to the table, really.
Yep.
Basically. And also, not knowing what an allele is basically admitting that you couldn't pass a high school biology class.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well,
I couldn't pass a high school biology class.
No. An allele is a portion of it that is a specific trait.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Right. So genes have alleles. So for instance, humans have genes that control various functions. Like everyone has an earwax consistency gene. It's either dry or wet. And the two variants are different alleles of that gene.
Okay. I just needed the refresher.
Well,
I knew about what it was, but I didn't know exactly.
Right.
So.
Well, an easy way to remember it, Tornado. Do you remember doing the pundit squares in school when you first were getting into genetics?
I do.
Yeah, each individual letter ends up being part of the allele, whether it's the dominant or recessive.
Yeah. This is why I will admit that there are some things I kind of got fuzzy on in biology, but I'm not afraid to admit I don't know everything.
Well, here's the beautiful thing about this. Kent might have an excuse for being ill-prepared in that manner, and that's where you have to blame his support staff. The reason why I say this is because this debate was almost 2 months in the making.
Oh, I know. It was crazy.
The topics, the specifics that Katz was bringing to the table was communicated to Kent through his secretary. There was the only excuse for Kent to not have been prepared is he did not listen to his secretary, or his secretary did not pass on the information.
Well, he just doesn't do debate prep because he always just has the same script.
Yeah, and RJ nuked him from orbit for it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
well,
definitely.
And one of the things is, it's like, okay, look, every one of those things that Ken didn't know, it's fine for someone not to know. Like, those aren't things that most people know about, right? Like, if I ask some random Joe on the street, hey, what's an endogenous retrovirus? I'll get just a blank stare, but that's fine unless you're presenting yourself as an expert on these topics and an educator on these topics and having debates on them.
I taught science for 15 years. Evolution is fake. And I know this, but I don't know what an allele is, so I shouldn't even be pontificating on evolution.
Yeah, you taught science, but yeah, you couldn't pass a high school biology test.
No. There is a major caveat to when he says that I could have been a dick from the beginning and pointed it out and made him say it at the opening, and I kind of wish I did, because, yes, he taught science for 15 years in high school to homeschooled Christian fundamentalists.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought it was a Sunday school he taught in.
So there are a few conflicting stories that he has told. One is that he gave classes to homeschoolers at churches. Another is that a church that he was pastoring at had started a school on the church grounds as a private Christian school, and that he taught there. I think there might be some combination of these things might actually be what really happened. But he definitely never taught in any place that would require him to be credentialed to teach.
Yeah, and pontificate on evolution.
And definitely what he taught is science. High school science didn't pass for anything that could be useful.
Yeah. Oh, no. If
accepted by anybody, any legitimate.
If he wants to pontificate on evolution, then he needs to learn a thing or two.
Right. Well, the thing is, almost all anti-evolution type people cannot satisfactorily describe what evolution is in the first place. They don't know what they're arguing against. Because anyone who knows what it is well enough to describe it accurately is basically someone who has studied it enough to know that it's true.
Descent with inherent genetic modification due to changes in allele frequencies and reproductive populations over many generations?
Yeah, he could not have said that to you accurately.
Wait, you mean that in order to be a young Earth creationist, you have to have such a failing of the actual subject matter that you might as well be a flat earther too?
Oh, yeah. I actually not too infrequently describe or compare flat Earth and creationism on my channel, because there's things like, if you count up how many fields of science have to be wrong for the Earth to be flat versus creationism, there really isn't a different list. I mean, relativity has to be wrong for both of them. Geology has to be wrong for both of them. Meteorology has to be wrong for both of them. Biology has to be wrong for both of them. Nuclear physics has to be wrong for both of them. I mean,
there is one that flat Earth would have to get wrong that young Earth creationism doesn't. Optics.
Which is that? Oh yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah. Although if you think about different things like the creationist saying that the speed of light can change, then maybe not. Because I don't know to what degree the speed of light is important to optics, and it might not be terrible.
It's really not really when you're looking at optics. What's going to be important is how light interacts with a medium.
Okay, then yeah, I'll give optics. Yeah, so I think that might be the one difference. Basically, the difference between flat earthers and creationists is that creationists accept optics, whether they know it or not.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is, creationists are sitting there saying flat earthers are ridiculous because they aren't basing their beliefs in science.
I know.
Hang on. Some creationists are saying
Ken Ham.
Yeah, did you see the Answers in Genesis thing where they talked about the flat earth?
Yeah, when Ken Ham and Kent Hovind look at your idea and laugh because they think it's stupid,
you've got a problem.
Yep.
You got a major problem.
I mean, Kent Hovind...
That's a very, very, very low bar.
Yeah. Kent Hovind is someone who thinks that a basking shark is actually a reasonable identity for a basking shark carcass is a plesiosaur, even though basking sharks don't have any bones.
Excuse me?
Yeah, he still goes on about how a basking shark carcass that was dragged aboard a Japanese fishing boat was actually probably a plesiosaur.
Despite the fact that those have actually gone extinct.
Well, so here's the thing, right? Like, extinction is one of those things where it's like, you haven't found any yet. Well, okay, what if you do? Well, then it's not extinct, which has happened. Like, just not that long ago, the black-footed ferret was listed as extinct. And some people found some. Okay, fine. The real problem is that, let's say plesiosaurs hadn't gone extinct and there had been this ghost lineage that we'd never seen. It's extremely unlikely, but okay, we'll just accept it. In order to identify a carcass as a plesiosaur, at the very least, that carcass better actually have the morphological traits of a plesiosaur, which includes bones. This carcass was entirely cartilaginous, as well as other soft fibers like bits of collagen and other fibrous tissue connecting it. But it didn't have a single bone. So it couldn't have been a plesiosaur.
The requirements to be a plesiosaur.
No, it couldn't even have been an osteichthyon, which is the vast majority of vertebrates, right? Like there's chondrichthyes is like sharks, rays, skates, dogfish, and ghost sharks, which are the cartilaginous fish. Every other vertebrate that you're ever going to find, basically,
is osteichthyes.
Is osteichthyes, and those are the things that have real bones, which includes plesiosaurs and ray-finned fish and mammals and dinosaurs and bears, whatever. And he mistook a carcass that was obviously a chondrichthyon carcass for a reptile.
AJ Brown.
All right, so what yield was it there, Tornado?
It wouldn't be able to be entered in that one. That one won't support it. Are you using Classic?
I'm just using general nuke map from Alex.
Yeah, you'd have to use Classic because this thing that you're using doesn't support the bigger bombs.
Oh, it doesn't have like scientific notation?
No, as in it doesn't go higher than 100 kilotons.
I beg to differ since I just selected the Tsar Bomba.
Yeah,
it's megatons. Or 100 megatons. That's what I meant. It doesn't go any bigger than that. It won't let you.
Do you know why? Because we don't have matter antimatter devices yet.
And that's why I tend to use Nuke Map Classic, because when I'm trying to just look at the raw effects and not any of the fancy stuff, Nuke Map Classic will give a pretty good estimation.
Okay, let's load in the rest of that map and see how big that circle is.
It's fucking huge.
Let's see.
That thing wouldn't even hold a candle to...
Did you break it again, Jay?
I think I did, because I have it on satellite view rather than normal. Let's refresh.
And if you can, try to pull up Classic.
There we go. Hey, there we go. Welcome to Dino Land.
Seattle.
Yeah, who wants to be there anyways?
I don't. I spent enough time in Kitsap County.
No.
Yeah, I spent a year on Whidbey. F that.
Goodbye, Alabama.
Yeah, basically.
Goodbye. No.
Sweet home. Nuclear crater.
But here's the thing. That's such a paltry number. Oh, wait. What part of the country is it?
Right. Alabama, which is not exactly the most densely populated area.
Can I present, please?
Depends on how you mean dense.
To put for comparison, there are more people where I live than there were killed in that nuclear explosion in this town alone.
Yeah, so...
It's not even in the top 10 in California.
Yeah. So, 9 o'clock hero, yes, we are here to commiserate with each other, having survived that visceral attack that took place.
I'm still trying to survive from last night's premiere that I had to watch.
Oh my... Oh, okay, hang on. I am not going to mention who whose video it was. I'm not going to mention who was there or what the topic was. But Jay, yes or no? Could that almost 2 hour? It was what, an hour and a half? Almost 2 hours?
It was almost exactly an hour and a half.
Okay, so let's call it an hour and a half. Let's call it 90 minutes. Could that 90-minute video have been better served in about 9 minutes?
Kent Hovind does. Okay, yes.
Tornado, let the question be answered.
I'm going to say no with the caveat that it would have to be a little bit longer. It could have been a third of the runtime and probably covered everything. So 30 minutes.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, Messenger Reveals, how you doing? And 9 o'clock hero. Oof. I would love to hear other people's take on how that actually went down, because shockingly enough, Standing for Truth was in the live chat and is wanting to debate Conspiracy Cats himself. Good luck there, buddy.
By the way, I just shared in the internal chat a link to a video that I did where I clipped Ken Hovind admitting to not knowing what a dinosaur is.
Oh, can we clip that in with the admissions of what he didn't know from tonight's debate?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? Go grab any clip you need from my debate with him and combine it with this to make a nice just run together of things that Ken Hovind has admitted he doesn't understand. Because, I asked him, because we were arguing about whether or not birds are dinosaurs, right? And so, I was explicitly not arguing evolution. I didn't care for the purpose of that discussion whether evolution was true. It was just, do birds meet the taxonomic definition for dinosaur? So it was all about the anatomy, right? Mm-hmm. And birds obviously have the anatomy that it takes to be a dinosaur.
You have the hip shape, the pelvic shape, the basic bone structure and layout. What was his contention?
That's the thing. He couldn't have a contention because he didn't know enough about bird anatomy or what a dinosaur is. So when that became clear that he just couldn't answer, I asked him flat out, I was like, okay, let's say you were presented with a skeleton that you had found as a fossil. How would you personally decide if it was a dinosaur? Because that's the same question as what is a dinosaur, except by phrasing it that way, it doesn't feel like I'm telling him he doesn't know what one is. So he just said, well, I don't know. I guess I would have to do some research on that. But what he doesn't realize is that that question is functionally identical to what is a dinosaur? Because if you can answer how would you tell that this is X, then you can answer the question, what is X? Like if I say, how do you know this is a book? You would describe to me what a book is.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, you wished, whereabouts in Missouri are you? Just a location.
North of Springfield.
North of Springfield, okay. I think I can cover you right about there. What do you think, Jared? Let me present really quick.
Yep. So, couple points in from the chat. 9 o'clock hero asked, did Kent answer any one of the questions put to him? Technically, if you consider an admission of I don't know as an answer, then yeah, Kent finally answered.
I would actually count that because that's the most intellectually honest that I've ever seen him be.
Granted, it took a lot of pushing to get him to it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Jay, you're a little bit west and a little bit south of where I live at.
No, that's fine. Don't want to give out too much there, you wished.
I don't care. I've been my doctor's already out there.
No. With everything that's been going on lately, or have you been living in a cave with your HughesNet?
He has been, probably.
I have been.
Oh boy, do you have some viewing to do from the last few days?
Oh God, he does.
Look, for the last few days, I've been binge watching freaking True Blood. So you know what? Sue me.
I don't know what's worse then.
Wait.
Drama or True Blood?
Wait. First 3 seasons or the last 2 seasons?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I've never seen True Blood. I always wanted to see Anna Paquin's titties after she turned 18.
They are glorious.
They are indeed, but you can tell in the last 3 seasons that they were starting to sag a tad.
Yeah, she had also had a kid by that point.
Yeah.
Which again, why the question was, the first few seasons or the end?
I'm getting to the end. I'm into the last season, so yeah, I'm just about done with it.
The last season is by far the worst one in my opinion, but okay.
You know, I'm only 2 episodes into the last season, and yes, it's turned out to be that.
Well, let's put it this way. The only series that HBO let be ended properly was The Sopranos.
Mm.
Well, that ending is questionable, but yes.
Oh, no. That ending is infuriating, but given HBO's track record of ending shows now, would you rather have that?
The CBS model, I understand.
Oh, no. They're not following the CBS model. They gave CBS the model.
Which should tell you something about what to expect with Picard.
Not much, which is what I've been saying from the beginning, that I've been cautiously optimistic, but expecting the worst. And guess what it's looking like.
I kind of want to do something cool now. That whole Bruce Lipton issue.
Eh?
Wait a second. This leads into a very interesting question. Tornado, what were Bruce Lipton's numbers for what a human body has as far as electrical strikes?
70 trillion volts or
70
something?
trillion volts, or 70,000 of Earth's most powerful lightning bolts in one human. Because Earth's most powerful lightning bolts go up to only 1 billion volts.
You know, if it's I gotta ask the question: does Bruce know this from firsthand experience from rubbing things out? Or is it just a wild number he pulled out of his ass while rubbing one out?
I honestly think that what he did was he got a wrong number for the potential on average across the human cell membrane between the interior of the cell and the intercellular matrix, and then he just multiplied that by the number of cells in the human body, but also got the math wrong. I think that's what happened. Every step of that is wrong.
So I'm going to deviate from the talking points for a second. Who's watched the latest installment of the Grand Tour? Seaman.
Unfortunately.
Does this area look familiar now?
Quite.
Yes.
That looks like England.
No, it is an interesting premise for a bunch of guys who are cars guys, not boat guys. They had to go from the tip of the lake that was at the top of that was in the middle of the screen there, basically all the way down to, basically almost down to Ho Chi Minh City, basically in the Mekong River Delta.
And they tried doing that in what?
Well, Richard Hammond did it in a basically Miami Vice boat.
Yeah. Clarkson did it in a
riverboat.
Gunboat.
Yeah, river gunboat that was used in Vietnam.
Okay.
And then May did it in basically a UK river pleasure boat.
Of course,
from the 1920s.
I wonder.
River cruiser. It was a very nice.
In a race?
Why did he have to
race?
No, they were just supposed to cruise down together. But of course,
yeah, they were cruising down together. It's actually pretty funny. If you have Amazon Prime, it's worth the watch actually.
Guess you'd like to watch it Christmas Day.
That reminds me. There's a documentary about the building of the Ark, Ken Ham's Ark Encounter or whatever on Amazon Amazon Prime now. I have to watch that.
What's it called? A sinking ship?
You know what? I'm going to look it up. I'm going to go look it up right now.
I don't know. But here's the thing, is that my mother-in-law took her daughter to the Ark Encounter. Now, I understand her daughter is 16 years old. My mother-in-law is a fundamentalist Foursquare preacher. And she said there were so many things wrong with that Ark Encounter that she has encouraged the Foursquare Church to withdraw its support of Ken Ham.
Wait, this is coming from your mother, who's a fundy.
My mother-in-law. Well, actually, my wife's stepmother, but yeah, it's my wife's stepmother.
Your mother-in-law was a fundy, and she said the Ark Encounter was full of shit.
Wait, Tornado, it gets even better. She is still a fundy, and she still says it's full of shit.
Wow.
Wasn't the Ark full of shit to begin with?
I mean, the Ark would have been full of shit.
It would have.
Sulfide poisoning is just wow.
It would be the first boat to sink on dry land.
No. You have a boat full of that much hydrogen sulfide, then of course you're gonna have to be dealing with the cold winter nights, because wasn't it flooded for like a year?
No, it was 40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah,
of rainfall, and then the dissipation.
Yeah, so it would get really cold one of those nights, and think about all the hydrogen sulfide in there, which, mind you, isn't just toxic, messing with cells' ability to use oxygen, but it's also flammable and explosive.
Well, did you hear about
when
the
it gets
the
cold
Ark
in here,
Encounter?
someone goes to light a match.
And the only light source they had were oil lamps and candles.
That thing's gonna look like, I mean, when you think about it that way, Tornado. Hey, Jay Brown, pull up one of those torpedo shots from World War II.
Nah.
It's gonna look just like that. You're gonna see a massive plume of smoke straight up from the center mast of the ship. Oh. And it's gonna be just a massive rain of shit at that point.
Boom!
Fred Knotts was actually asking Sean Carroll, but this is a good one to bring up. Did I hear Kent say that there weren't insects or fish on the Ark?
He did indeed.
Yes, it makes no sense as put an insect in a jar of water and see how long it survives before it drowns.
Oh, it gets even better. It gets even better, because does Kent also say there were no plants on the Ark?
So I think he's unclear on that, because he says that there has to have been feed on board for the animals, and some animals do require basically very fresh food. So I don't actually know what his stance is there.
Inconsistency?
Well, yeah. By the way,
apparently the Bible says Noah only has to take on board the Ark those things that have in their nostrils the breath of life.
By the way, the documentary is called "We Believe in Dinosaurs." It's you can rent it for $5 US on Amazon Prime, and the synopsis is: "We Believe in Dinosaurs" follows the design and construction of the massive $120 million Noah's Ark replica in rural Kentucky, telling the story of the unsettling and uniquely American conflict between science and religion. So it does not seem like it is a pro-Kent propaganda, or pro-Ken, propaganda piece. And I found it in a counter-creationism group that I'm in, so...
Oh, that's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
Now, if there's no plants on the Ark, then that means there's no food, that the herbivores would eventually die of starvation.
Well, I mean, you just keep adding miracles. Just keep on adding miracles upon miracles upon miracles.
Keep on adding miracles, along with the fact that you'd have to add a small moon's worth of water onto the Earth just to get it to flood the required amount.
That's another miracle.
And God did it, and just remember, all that water just went down into the Earth anyways.
Oh yeah, and
the
never
under
mind
Earth.
the fact that one of Kent's ideas is the hydroplate theory, which would turn the entire surface into fucking magma.
Let's also keep in mind they literally just stole that.
Plus, there's no way to form the Earth with a layer of water underneath the crust that isn't magical, nor is there a way for it to stay stable without magic. Which means that if God just created the Earth with an underground ocean, he was just planning on flooding it at some point, no matter what, and that was already just predetermined. This wasn't something he decided to do one day. It's something he decided to do before he ever created a single person. The world was gonna flood.
Oh, and on top of that, remember what I said about adding a small moon's worth of water onto the Earth? That's going to have gravitational effects that shift the moon's orbit, which would also affect the tides and this rotation of the Earth.
Yeah, but not if there's a miracle.
Yeah,
basically the entire Noah's flood story requires a chain of fucking magic.
Well, duh.
Well, hey, tornado, wait a second. Now, as far as cleansing the earth of all sin, what is next behind water?
Magma.
Which would be considered what?
Fire?
Liquid.
Thank you. The scriptures do speak that the next time the earth is cleansed of all sin, it's fire that does it.
Yeah, it would be fire that did it originally. You want to know why? Because the moment those hydroplates released, those slabs of rock that are the plates would slam into the earth with enough energy to liquefy the plates.
Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Let's get the biblical chronology right. What happened first, the flood of Noah, or the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah?
Noah.
No.
Yeah, so Sodom and Gomorrah involved the saving of Lot and his wife, and they were cousins of Abram, who became Abraham, who lived after the flood in the chronology.
I think he was the great-grandson or the great-grandson of Noah.
Yeah.
So, if that was the case, wasn't it hellfire and brimstone that did that? So, what's the third one supposed to be?
That was not the cleansing of the entire earth, which was promised to Noah.
Right.
That was only one regional area in and around the Dead Sea area.
But again, this is where when you get into the translation of the Bible and everything, there are translations, there are older manuscripts that actually do treat that as the follow-on catastrophe that was talked about as part of the Noah story, which is where a lot of people, there are some segments of theology that are like, there's no talk of the third one before you get into, if you want to add in Revelations. And
which manuscripts?
The one of the first
or manuscript families.
I remember.
So the Septuagint?
Yeah. It is people who actually read the initial, because it wasn't that it was a cleansing of the world, it was a cleansing of the world of man. And Sodom and Gomorrah was seen as the core of that in that time frame. Because if you keep the Bible to actually be relevant to the people that were actually using it, Old and New Testament, it is a very localized book in that sense, because it only really talks about or addresses the people of and around what is now the Middle East. So
true.
Do you know which parts of that part of the Septuagint have that? Because I have it pulled up now.
Not off the top of my head, I'll be honest. It's been about 15 years since I remember going through all of that.
Well, I can search for some words that would probably indicate that.
I
have to pull up a stupid Greek keyword.
Yeah, what I remember as being the references was that when they were talking about the destruction of the world, it's not the destruction of the world in general. It's not a cleansing of the world. It was a cleansing of the world of man.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that if that's the case, I should find the word oikos at least a few times in here, right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, because that is the Greek word for the world, inhabited world.
Yeah.
Or oikomen, depending on which exactly context we're using.
No, of course.
Why are you going after the Falklands, Jay?
Yeah, and
what the Falklands ever do to you?
You'd be better off centering it on West Falkland, not on East Falkland, not West Falkland.
Yeah, because that's where the people are.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's where all our guys are.
And
What are you hitting
demonetized.
it with? What are you hitting it with? Oh, 100 kilotons. This will be nasty.
did TD Lane leave?
No, he's still here.
Now, of course, there's me and TD Lane were actually going over Bruce Lipton's numbers.
Oh, jeez.
It is pretty ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. I actually have the thing, if you really want me to share it. Because it gets incredible. Like I said, though, that's up to the discretion of you guys.
Well, now...
Nuking the Falklands off the coast of England there?
Yeah, don't. In 1982, that's what most of us in England thought. Actually, we thought the Falklands were off Scotland somewhere.
Wow.
Hey, I'm old enough to remember.
In 1982, nobody in the UK knew where the Falkland Islands were, till we had to go and get them back.
I mean, ask an American where the U.S. Virgin Islands are. They're going to be like, I don't know, the ocean?
That would be more along the lines of the Caribbean, near the Bahamas and Cuba.
Half of them can't even figure out where all the states are, and you're trying to go for Virgin Islands, huh?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right about here, by my guess.
For the average Brit, the Falkland Islands were like the U.S. Virgin Islands are to the Americans. They're just something you don't think about.
No, it's not the Virgin Islands. Is actually more the America Samoa.
Yeah, or Guam maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, because you got to remember, off Scotland you've got the Hebrides, the inner and outer Hebrides, and we got the Shetland Islands and the Orkney Islands. And you just kind of assume that they're part of all that shit because it sounds vaguely Scottish.
Oh yeah, I guess I can see that. Yeah.
Hey, Jake.
It's like the Far Hebrides.
Let's nuke the Shetlands. Let's lay waste to the Shetlands, so I don't have to worry about buying any more damn ponies.
No, I'm going to keep those. You have to suffer.
So, Virillion says New Zealand doesn't exist on some American world maps. Are you talking about Eastern Australia?
It's true though. There's a surprising number of maps that just don't put New Zealand on there. It's weird.
Well, maybe that's.
Well, haven't you heard? New Zealand and Australia do not exist, according to Flat Earth.
No.
Well, except the ones who are in Australia or New Zealand.
By the way, did you get those pictures I sent you?
What, the ones through Discord?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got them.
And
you could left your damn docs in there. I'm not going to come visit you.
You could nuke Terry Davis. Go on, go for Wollongong.
Oh.
Is he outside of Sydney? Yeah.
Yes.
Right there. Let's see, can I hit him from Bangor?
Oh, yeah.
Nope. Just outside of the range.
Well,
actually, I have to hit him control area.
You can hit him from Hawaii, that's for damn sure.
Oh yeah, I could hit most of everything from...
Well, there's a pretty big swath there. But then again, it is
You
just
can hit
Africa.
almost everything except what you might legitimately want to nuke.
I'd love to know where the average American public thinks Hawaii is, because I can guarantee you most of them will be wrong.
Oh yeah.
They think it's somewhere right about here, where the missile is.
No.
In actuality, it's right about
there. Yeah.
Yep.
It is a fun 6-hour plane ride if you're in first class.
No. You want to know a fun plane ride? Go from Seattle to Tokyo.
Don't
In
know that
coach.
I was going to say, I bet it's a real fun ride in the back of a Herc, though, isn't it?
Thankfully, I did it on a 747, but yeah, it was a mill flight. It wasn't true commercial.
Oh, let's see. Let's go.
Oh no! If you really want a fun flight, Jay, go from Manama, Bahrain, to Virginia Beach, or no, Norfolk, NOB. In a
Well, I don't want to go to Norfolk, so why would I ever do that?
Yeah, exactly. And why would we ever want to fly out of anywhere in the Mideast at this point?
Breaker 19, you're breaking up.
That's HughesNet again.
The HughesNet.
No, it's not HughesNet. It's freaking MetroCell. Thank you.
Tomato.
By the way, E32, I'm getting through the story of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Septuagint. So far, I'm not seeing what you're trying to get at.
I'll have to find it. I'll actually, because it was one of the versions that my grandfather gave me access to back when he was actually teaching.
Because as far as I know, the only major versions of Genesis that we really have access to are the fragments from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Masoretic text, and the Septuagint. And I'm looking at the Septuagint, and I'm not seeing much.
Yeah, I'll be honest. After reading 14 different translations, some of them do get muddled together.
Drink the mug.
Nice mug with Crowder.
It's no tumbler, though.
No, it's no tumbler, but, when you're filling it with cheap vodka,
that
a little bit goes a long way.
That actually makes sense for a Ladder of Crowder mug.
Yeah.
And I'll be pairing it with an energy drink just for the hell of it.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Nice.
That's dangerous.
Well,
if you sat through what I sat through yesterday, you would understand.
It looks like wait. It looks like Jay is trying to equal me in the number of heart attacks.
No,
Praise
no,
you, Jay.
no.
Praise you.
All right. Well, that's enough Greek for me for now because my eyes are starting to cross.
Yeah,
it's all Greek to me.
I kind of want to do that whole thing with Bruce Lipton.
Well,
because that is just hilarious.
Oh, so I just remember something. In the next week or two, I'm almost certainly going to be giving Ken Hovind a call to set up another debate. What do you guys think would be a good topic?
Genetics.
The Anakian apocalypse that would render the Earth completely inhabitable forever.
No. Genetics.
He's done too many of those. I think genetics might have to be it.
The right crayon for writing a thesis.
But the tricky thing is, he does actually reject debates on topics that he doesn't think. Like for instance, I offered him a debate on are dinosaurs lizards because he says that a lot, and it's not true. It's not even close to true. And he was just like, "No, I don't think I'd like to debate that," and then that was it. So I'm not sure if just genetics would get him on the hook. Maybe if I went with something like, could modern diversity arise from the survivors of the flood? Because then that would just like trick him into a debate on genetics, because that's the question.
That actually, yeah, that is a good way to parse it out. That is a good foundation for the question, and I think he will screw the pooch badly.
Oh, of course. Not only is he Ken Hovind, but I mean he's debating me, and I'm not an idiot. So, not to toot my own horn too loudly, but still.
Well, to be fair, like you said, it is Kent Hovind.
Right. I mean, it's so. Well, that's the thing, though. It's from the standpoint of what he knows. It's basically like debating on easy mode, but he's very practiced at obfuscation and getting people off topic. So it's actually not that easy to debate him, because you have to be really on your toes and not allow yourself to be drawn down those rabbit holes, because he makes it really easy to go down them.
Yeah, and that's how I knew Katz wasn't going to let that happen, simply because of the subject matter that has been dealt with by him before. Because that's all flat earthers try to do in an actual discussion, is
that's a good point.
Try to lead you along. So he was like, no. This is the question. You're not answering the question, Ken. Answer this question. It's okay to say if you don't know.
That's the crazy thing, is that he was so persistent that he actually got him to say, I don't know. He flat out. Oh my goodness. Saying I don't know is like garlic to a vampire for Kent. It's just like he runs away from it.
I would be proud to say I don't know, because it would be an opportunity for me to expand my knowledge.
Well, yeah, but you're not an arrogant asshole con man. Is the difference.
Oh, only a slight difference there.
It's like, I'm at least one of those things.
Does it not irk you having to call him Doctor, though, all the time?
I didn't. I called him Kent.
Yeah, that's why I just went with the first name.
Yeah. He used my first name, which is Timothy, which isn't a secret, and I use his first name.
Yeah. What? Inmate number 0645-2017?
No, because here's the thing. I want the debate to get cordial, because once he starts yelling, there's no more discussion. No one's going to learn anything, even from the sidelines.
Yeah, and you could tell that Kent really wanted to end it earlier with Katz, because at one point, Kent actually yelled and told him to shut up. How often does Kent do that in an interaction?
Kent got mad?
Yes.
Yeah, this was a repeat of the RJ Downer debate and the King Crocodile debate.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. It happened with Arn Ra, it happened with RJ Downer. But yeah, he got angry.
Yeah, it happens to the people that he can't counter.
Yeah, because they don't let him put up with his bullshit. And I think the only reason it didn't happen to me is because we didn't have a moderator and I was on his channel, so he ultimately was in control of that discussion. He could end it whenever he wanted.
My whole thing is, I kind of want you to go into the Noachian apocalypse, and what would happen if you added a small moon's worth of water to a planet that already has a bunch of water, and thereby shifts the moon's tides, or rather, the tides generated by the moon, and slows down the Earth's rotation at a much more noticeable degree.
Right. I think that would be an awesome thing to have a debate on. I just don't know that I'm the one to do it, because my physics chops aren't quite as good as like my biology or paleontology or even genetics. And even with genetics, I mean, I'm not great at genetics. I'm just leagues ahead of Kent Hovind, which again, not saying much, but
it's like, hey, Kent, here's what happens if you add a small moon's worth of water to the Earth. You're always going on about conservation of angular momentum. Well, that's going to cause the Earth's rotation to slow down. And then if you have the tides generated by the moon go up by a factor of, say, 3, then that's going to slow the Earth's rotation down even more, which stops the dynamo effect in the Earth's core eventually, thereby leaving the atmosphere free to be stripped by the solar wind.
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't know that I would have I don't know that I could adequately present the physics behind that in a way that would be reasonable enough for me to be okay with presenting it. I think there are other people who would probably do a better job at that, and they should call Kent. And for instance, I'm going to try and set this debate up for the Modern Day Debate channel, because I'm already in contact with James, and he would like to have me and Kent on his channel. So
that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's actually a fairly good chance that that's going to happen. I'm probably going to call him. I might even just call him next week. Just have to remember the time zones. Which, by the way, I don't know if any of you know, but one of my friends goes by Bent Hovind online. No relation. That's the joke. So he's always telling me to call Kent Hovind at stupid hours of the day. He's like, call Kent Hovind. I'm like, it's like 2 a.m. where he is. He's like, yeah. I'm like, no matter how wrong Kent is, I'm not going to be the guy who harasses an old man. I'm like, that's not going to be
me. That sounds familiar.
Oh, Anamorphic Mind in the chat asks if I saw Erica's debate against Kent and Standing for Truth. Not only did I see them, she and I discussed them on my channel in my last live stream.
She is amazing.
She is. We had a lot of fun. Actually, I'm probably going to be on her next live stream that's going to be debunking Kent Hovind's Age of the Earth seminar. So subscribe to Erica's channel. I think it's Gut Sick Gibbon. Subscribe to that if you want to see that, because that's coming up.
Looking forward to it. And actually, it was her... the first of those 2 debates that I noticed on Modern Day Debates is what my introduction to her was. I went back and watched some of her other stuff, and it was like, she is very well spoken on how to actually explain the topics.
Oh yeah, she's got a nice sense of humor.
Well, generally speaking, people who aren't assholes do have a good sense of humor.
Yes. But yeah, no, that was my introduction to her too, and then I went to her channel. And I was impressed. She has some good content. She doesn't have a lot of content, but what's there is good, and she's putting out more.
See you, Alan.
Her video on primate cryptids is honestly fascinating. Reminds me of Trey the Explainer stuff.
Fred Knotts asked me, has Kent ever addressed human chromosome number 2 and the telomere data of that chromosome? So, to my knowledge, Kent Hovind has never gone beyond. That could just be the evidence of a common designer, and he also tends to imply that chromosome number differences are essentially proof positive against common ancestry between groups, even though he thinks all equids are a kind, despite the fact that they have varying chromosome counts. So he's internally inconsistent there, big surprise. But I don't even think he knows enough about genetics to actually address that in any way that really makes sense. Like, I don't think he knows what a telomere is. If you watch my video, Kent Gets Genetics Badly Wrong, which I got help from Dead Kennedy in Space for, he doesn't even know what a gene is, what a chromosome is, basically. He thinks that... So a chromosome is essentially a coiled strand of DNA, more or less. Well, Kent seems to think that half the strand of DNA from the chromosome, cuts its way down the sort of ladder of DNA, and then half of that from your mom and half of that from your dad fused together to create a new chromosome, and that's how you get your chromosome.
They're throwing DNA at each other.
Yes, but throwing DNA at each other isn't it's kind of tongue-in-cheek way that you could describe the way it actually works, where you get whole chromosomes and they go into the zygote, and then sometimes sections of each chromosome can cross over as a whole section. That does happen, right? Chromosomes do cross like that, but it's across, not down the length of this ladder, it's across it at certain points.
Yeah, but
right.
Still, he's saying that 2 different genetic RNA strands can merge together when that's not how that works at all.
Yeah, no, it's not how it works at all. And Ugly German Truths, that was the video that I did with Kent Hovind. He had done this. He did a series of classes in creationism. He called them Creation Science Evangelism, and he numbered them like a college course, like 101, 102, 103, 201, right? And apparently, according to him, in the opening segment for his first of these classes, this course was being accepted for credit by a few colleges, which just horrifies me.
I think so.
Other than Kent's word, I don't know that that's actually the case.
Probably
they're required for an MSN
that gave him his degree.
I wouldn't buy that for 1 iota, not even a second.
There are some unaccredited Bible colleges that I wouldn't put anything past.
Would you buy it for a Toyota?
No.
Well,
he'd buy it for a Dodge Dart. He'd buy it for an original Dodge Dart.
No.
No, wait a second. No, he'd actually buy it for a Ford Pinto.
No, you wished you missed the better joke. You would buy it for a baby Yoda.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Baby Yoda's too cute for me to sell.
No, that's why you are buying it for a Baby Yoda.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd buy it for a Baby Yoda. Maybe.
Anyway.
Well, I'm a tenth of the way in watch hours to get monetization.
Whee!
Now, of course, there's the bigger question.
But how far off on the subscribers?
20%. I got 211 right now.
Not bad. And it's one of those. I had the watch hours when about the same point. So you're not far off from how long it took me.
Well, the problem is you were doing it with quality live streams, and I'm doing it with drama.
I've got a question.
Fair point. Burns, is there a way to cycle back through your slideshow?
Yeah, give me 1 second here.
Because go back 2 images. If
Hold on here.
I know which one you're talking about, Jared. I know which one you're talking about. Not that one.
Hang on here. I can get it to. If I can figure out how to make it cycle. Hold on. OBS is a pain in the ass.
There were not enough lens flares in that view of the bridge, anyways.
Hang on. Let me figure out my hotkeys here, and I'll figure it out.
The future is just bright, guys. Come on.
You must construct additional lens flares.
You must.
Now look, don't make me pull out my shades.
Blah, blah,
all I'm gonna say.
Oh, you were waiting for that, weren't you, Jay?
Hey, there's an opportune time every time to play that button. It's just you got to find the right one.
Yeah, and it's generally You Wish that offers it.
It's You Wish or Bo, one of the two.
Go fuck yourself. Yeah.
Oh man,
There
I
we
kind
go.
of want to bring up the Planet Cracker Apocalypse.
Give me 1 second here. Which one are we talking about? Not that one.
Not that one. Nope. That one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, agreed.
So true.
It really is. Hey, can you pull up the one that had the Klingons on it?
Oh, yeah, let me back up here. I like this one. This is a crossover.
Nice. I like the phaser lightsaber. That's
Damn it, I need to watch more Star Trek. I haven't watched enough.
There you go.
Hang on. Let's go ahead and pin this because... Damn it, Jay. There we go. All right. So we have Kor, Koloth,
And Kang, I think, right?
as the Bee Gees.
Oh, but it doesn't say anything.
Oh! Oh, dang.
I bet you it says staying alive.
It doesn't though.
No,
What it has there isn't actually even
it's
words.
gibberish.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. But...
No,
Like
it
this-
actually does read the Bee Gees.
No, it literally doesn't though. I promise you it doesn't. The reason for
Does a
that is
dinosaur
that
know so much about human languages?
It's not a
That's
human
not a
language.
human language.
Someone said
It's made by
Hotel
humans.
Chronos.
So what probably happened is that someone typed the Bee Gees with a Klingon font.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
because their lettering is actually really similar to Japanese, in the sense that it's phonetic, not necessarily letters.
Let's see here.
Well, so the most common Klingon like phonetic mapping that people use, it's not actually official in the show because they've never actually put anything out there, but it's been in use so long that even officially licensed products, and actually now I think Discovery does use it in the way that the fans have been using it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it's essentially it's not a defective script. It's a phonemic inventory that just maps 1-to-1. Each Klingon phoneme gets a letter. It has 2 punctuation marks and numerals 1 to 0.
Let me guess, those 2 punctuation marks are a period and an exclamation point.
No, it's a full stop and a comma. The full stop functions for question marks, exclamation marks, and periods. And the thing is, you don't actually really need to mark questions with a mark in Klingon because they're always unambiguously questions. Because they'll either have an interrogative pronoun or the main verb will have the interrogative suffix.
Let's face it, we've all heard Klingon that it ends with an exclamation point all the time.
Well, I mean, there's that too. You should, yeah. If you're not violently sending spit into your conversation partner's face, you're
not doing it right.
Properly. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like stereotypical German.
Basically, yeah. Except that that's not the stereotype. That's
samurai with a head cold trying to speak German.
So NANA has asked, a little bit of a question, more of a statement. Wow, you guys know the alphabet? There's a reason why every other Saturday there's a sci-fi specific show that goes on this channel.
NANA. Holvigage.
Let me put it to you this way: I'm not ready for my homework to have to watch my homework for tomorrow afternoon.
Is it going to be in Klingon?
No, but there is a Klingon ship involved.
Bye, you wished.
Bye, guys.
Bye. One thing I'll say there's one of the few things I like about the Star Trek Discovery is that they're actually trying to use Klingon as the language that was actually created for Star Trek, which the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine never bothered with. But the thing that I hate is that they have such heavy dental prostheses on the actors that they can't actually pronounce anything, even English. So why are you bothering?
Michael Dorn had a problem with his prosthesis even back in TNG.
Right, and it wasn't nearly as bad as the people they have playing the Klingons now with the redesign.
Yeah.
Oh. It's ridiculous. It's like, look, I get it. You want the Klingons to look more alien. I can understand why you want that, right? You want to have a visual distinctive style, and yes, the Klingons as they were absurdly human. I get it.
Especially in TOS.
Right. Well, yeah. But if you want to have real actors on set and you're capturing on-set audio for their lines, you cannot have them in a dental prosthetic that makes it impossible for them to pronounce anything. Either ADR their lines afterwards, or get rid of the ridiculous dental prosthesis. You got to do one of those things.
Yeah, and especially seeing as how, let's actually go back into TNG. There was the story arc that actually did get them to what was proposed as essentially a cedar of life that all humanoid species essentially had descended from.
I know I think it was a silly episode. But
it was, but it opened up an avenue to explain why the Cardassians, the Klingons, the Romulans, Romulans and Vulcans can be treated as one in this case, and the humans, the Tellarite, the Andorians, why all of the different alien races have such similarities. It is a built-in explanation that they put there that they just kind of were like, we'll ignore it from now on.
Well, I mean, it's not like it would come up all that much more. Like, what future storyline do you want to draw from there?
Well,
plus,
from there, because so you could even get into more of the nuances, especially on the political side, try to break down some of those barriers, because let's admit it, Star Trek has been very politically laced in its storylines from its outset.
Yeah.
So,
well, another thing is, Star Trek has never been super great at biology in the first place. Like,
yeah, it's an understatement.
so for instance, a human and a Vulcan, even if we can explain their humanoid form by being like pre-programmed in by some ancient alien species, okay, they would still be less related to each other than a human and a daffodil would be. You have more chance of having a baby by having sex with a flower from Earth than you do with a Vulcan. And yet, the way that half human, half Vulcan children are made is apparently just that humans and Vulcans have sex, and then the female just gets pregnant.
So, in other words...
I'm not saying it's aliens. But it's aliens.
In other words, aliens make Nookie, and then, well, out pops a hybrid.
Well, first you have to get permission from the captain before you can do interspecies relations.
Well, is that the rule?
Well, actually, yeah. In Enterprise, they actually established that is a rule in Starfleet.
I read that episode of Voyager too.
Yeah.
Excuse me, cough, Orion's cough.
Well, TOS had the rule. TOS had the rule too, but that was just so that Kirk had first dibs, though. So.
True.
Okay, so Ugly German Truth says that outside of the TV series, which, by the way, anything outside of the TV series or the movies, I'm going to have to say that the canonicity is pretty darn iffy.
Beta canon at best.
Yeah, he said that it required some like CRISPR magic. Like, okay, fine, but here, how about this? This is another instance where Star Trek absolutely fails at biology. Okay, so you get what was Kessa's species called?
The Ocampa.
The Ocampa, yeah.
The Ocampa, who only enter a reproductive phase of their life, the females at least, once in their lives, and always apparently give single births. So every generation, the population is halved.
That doesn't sound sustainable. Like,
it's
at all.
It's not.
I did the math, and if you started with like
that was selected against.
Like you start like with an initial population of like something like 6 billion or something, it would take you, and you factor in like their lifespan. I did the math once. I don't remember the exact answer, but it took something like 150 years to just completely wipe out the species just because they couldn't reproduce enough. Like no other factors. Complete 100% survival rate. Complete every single female gets pregnant and gives birth. It takes like less than 2 centuries for the species to just go extinct after starting with billions of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Actually, it was implied later in the storyline, though, that a lot of those elements where the Ocampa was limited, their lifespan and stuff like that, was because of the caretaker's interference.
But the thing is that even if you accept that, that would have had to mean that the caretaker had only been there for like 70, 80 years at most, unless this planet was just so overcrowded that it's ridiculous, just based on how many Ocampas you can infer are in that city. Well, but it seems like in the show, the caretaker
city was not full.
It wasn't full, but it's also the case that it seems like the caretaker has been there for tens of thousands of years or something. None of the races in the area have any memory of like a time before the caretaker.
Yeah, so that's where, when you look at it, what it probably was and what you're probably running into, because keep in mind, there were there actually is for all the flaws of Voyager, there is actually a plausible explanation that they ended up building in if you actually paid attention throughout. Keep in mind that there were a couple of those non-corporeal beings that were the caretakers initially. It doesn't say how long they were there or what they were doing, but they were there as a pair, and then one left to go do her own thing. And it was after that point that what would be seen as the male of that pairing stayed with the Ocampa to take care of them, and it could be that as he recognized his end was coming up, not only was he ramping up the energy output from the array, but that's where he could have then started messing with their lifespan and genetics and everything, so that they would, as a civilization, die out peacefully at about the same time that the energy reserves were going to be depleted.
I guess I can see that that's a potential explanation, but I feel like the heavy implication was that this was not a recent phenomenon that was seen as unusual. And sure, they only lived for a little while, but they clearly had the technology to write things down and remember how things were in at least like a few centuries worth of time. Like, there should have been a crisis amongst the people if they knew that they could only have a maximum of 1 birth per woman. Like, that should have been the real concern. Not, oh no, what happens if the stable energy source that we use to make our food generators runs out? Like, it should have also been like, holy crap, we're going to go extinct in like 8 generations, no matter what kind of food we get.
Why do I
well, they didn't really show much of concern for
background.
They didn't really show much for concern for anything, because like I said, the problem was the caretaker took care of all their needs. Like,
the answer to why there are Godzilla sounds in the background is because I forgot to silence my cell phone.
Because the Ocampa that the other caretaker took with her did not have a lot of those limitations.
Okay, so I got permission from Jared to share this clip, but this is what I'm going to put in at videos when I'm dealing with Unirock's evidence. Where is?
Wait, Unirock has evidence now?
Oh, hold on just a second. Well, you just need the audio. You don't need to see the actual clip.
On hearsay.
He was using his hands at the time.
Reminded that countless people have been convicted on hearsay because the courts have routinely allowed and created needed exceptions to hearsay. Hearsay can be much better evidence than direct, as we have learned in painful instances.
What?
That's some creationist logic right there.
That is the Democratic House of Representatives, Mr. Quigley from Chicago, saying that hearsay is better evidence than direct evidence.
That's not terribly surprising.
It is Chicago.
Yeah, and a politician.
That's why I have fun with the
That's why I
topic.
would not make a good politician because I'm too damn honest.
Oh yeah, me too.
No, that would actually make you probably better.
No.
It would make you a better person at being someone in charge of things. It would make you far less electable.
It would make him. He would be electable, but he wouldn't get far. Like you'll notice you'll get people who are honest and ethical at city and maybe state level, not federal.
Up at the federal level, the populace generally doesn't want to hear the truth. They want their ears scratched.
Yeah,
the federal level is cesspool.
Oh, okay. So, I just heard from Erica because I don't know if you noticed, but in the live chat for the debate, Standing for Truth asked me, like, "Hey, has Erica looked into that thing about the Y chromosome that I sent her?" Because basically, he claimed that the difference between the human Y chromosome and the chimpanzee Y chromosome
It's like 70%.
Yeah, it was too large to be adequately explained by a common descent hypothesis.
Bull.
And so I let her know, like, hey, Standing for Truth was asking about this. I don't know why he's talking to me about it.
Well, he also did try to ask Katz it early on. It was just Kent is so woefully ill prepared that I couldn't bring a question like that because it would be unfair to Kent.
It would short circuit his brain.
If I remember correctly, what's his name? The guy who did the How Creationism Taught Me Real Science series.
Oh yeah,
Tony Reed. He did
yeah.
a video on that. If I remember correctly, it's because there's a higher mutation rate in Y chromosome.
I think it's if I remember correctly, and don't quote me on this, but if I remember correctly, it's a combination of things. One of them is that basically only the SRY gene is highly conserved on the Y chromosome, and that's the gene that actually is responsible for making the embryo develop a male phenotype. And so there's that, which means that any other mutations that do not affect the SRY gene essentially simply carry forward. It's one of the reasons why it's such a good chromosome for tracking population movement. And the other one is that the reason for the color blindness is because genes responsible for the proper formation of cone cells in the eyes are primarily contained on the X chromosome. Now, if you have two X chromosomes, you'll have two sets, which means you have a very low chance of actually having two defective sets in the same way. So that's why very few women are colorblind, but most colorblind people are men because they'll only have one set of those genes to go with. And so if any of them are defective, that will result in the defective phenotype developing. So that's the thing there. But I think that's the thing with the Y chromosome, and it also does have a slightly higher mutation, or significantly, I don't remember exactly what the difference in the mutation rate is, but I do believe it does have a higher one. And also, I think Erica is currently really pissed off at Standing for Truth. Seems like he's been emailing her all night.
Well, if you want to pass her the link and give her an invitation to come on and talk about the experience with Kent, since this is a Kent Hovind debate after show, go right on ahead.
I'll let her know. I do think she's going to bed, though, because she's in England right now.
Yeah.
Now, of course,
it's Friday night.
Standing for Truth, more like standing for harassment.
Yeah, there's that, too.
Who's Standing for Truth? Creationist?
Yes.
Yeah, he's
all about the genetic entropy. He doesn't go much elsewhere.
Yeah, that's his big thing is genetic entropy, which surprised me that he backed out of a debate with me that I offered him on can mutation increase information in the genome?
Well,
and he
yes,
was like, nah.
It can.
Well, yeah, I know that, but he seems to think it can't.
Here's the thing: if you scramble the letters, that's new information.
Well, right. What I was hoping to get to is basically defining that the only way we can measure information content in the genome is by ascribing an information amount to each either nucleotide, or we could just say base pair, and we just only, like, we can count the mirror image as a different kind of base pair. So if it's like, okay, you know what I mean. I don't want to get too in depth. So basically, 1 second. I'm going to type to Erica.
Oh, yeah, well, we're as I even said on The Elusive Man earlier this week, I described this show as essentially the Seinfeld of this section of YouTube. The greatest show about nothing. We will literally talk about any subject as it comes up in conversation. The only things that are off limits are things that are violations of terms of service. Other than that, bring it on.
Quick, somebody bring up porn.
You do that, TD Lane. I know how to hurt you.
Erica says she's a little bit too drunk, she thinks.
No. Tell her.
That's not a problem.
No. This is a show run and dominated by former military members. There is no such thing as too drunk for this show.
I'm drinking right now.
My dad's military.
Speaking of military,
I just told her it was impossible to be too drunk for this. So.
Good.
Now, since we are
wait a minute. Is this wait? This is legit?
This is legit. Space Force DoD, U.S. Navy replied. And I need to talk to whoever's running their Twitter account.
Okay, so I do have a question. Which set of officer ranks are we going with? Because just because of Star Trek, I want to go with Navy officer ranks for the Space Force.
They're not.
I feel like
they'll probably go with.
They'll probably go Air Force.
Air Force or. Yeah.
Or Trump will come up with his own.
Well, here's the thing. When you look at the commissioned officer ranks, so we're talking the commissioned side of things.
Not the wannabes like Furball.
Every branch is the same, except for the Navy and Coast Guard.
Yeah. Well, so that right there is one reason why I think it would be nice to get another one that's not the same as everybody. And also, just because of Star Trek and such,
it would make sense.
All right, given I think Erica might be coming in, so I'm gonna.
And given that Space Force is basically organized within the Air Force, it's going to have Air Force ranks, you know it.
Yeah. Now, of course, there's the question regarding that thing I've kind of been wanting to bring up, that Bruce Lipton Planet Cracker Apocalypse.
Oh, actually, yeah, Fino, Ugly German Truths has a good point. It's expectable because essentially when you look at it, the Marine Corps is technically under the Navy administratively, and the Space Force is technically probably going to be administratively under the Air Force. So yeah.
But the thing is that Marine Corps uses the Army officer ranks and not the Navy ones, so they don't have to keep the same names for the same ranks.
Well, and there is that counter to it, but at the same time, I find it interesting. And actually, the reason why the Marines use the same officer rank nomenclature as the Army and Air Force is because they're the infantry arm of the Navy.
Right, but the thing is, I don't see the Space Force going in infantry formations and taking ground as an infantry force.
It'll be like Stargate Command. They're all mostly Air Force officers.
Look, if there's going to be a space-based military branch, I like enough sci-fi stuff that it should use goddamn Navy ranks.
No, they're going with the NATO. Sorry.
I mean, That's one example.
Well,
but
yeah.
like Star Trek uses them. I mean, even Star Wars has
original
Navy ranks.
Starfleet that was separated from the military by itself, and the military was called the Mako, which used the Army based.
But Starfleet itself were the ones that operated the starships, and they use Navy ranks. Also, it looks like Erica is jumping in.
All right.
If I may make a note, where would the Marines be without the Navy? On a Coast Guard dinghy, that's where.
Right. Or just at home.
Now, yeah, as I've been saying, we've been kind of going off topic from the Kent Hovind thing.
Welcome to a typical Friday night show. Welcome.
And I've really been wanting to bring up that Bruce Lipton apocalypse.
All right, I gotta be right back.
All right. Well, okay. So, Jay, have you been able to pull up the Nuke Map Classic so we can actually enter in the mega butt ton of energy that would be released by this?
Okay, let me pull it up here.
Because I would be interested to see just how large that ends up being.
Do we have a particular target?
Let's just go to St. Louis. Let's just start middle of the country and go from there.
Oh, don't worry. I already have everything ready.
So you have the site up? You have everything punched in?
Oh, yes, I do. I have the target set for New York.
Share your screen.
Then go ahead and share screen.
All right, so I'm going to first select the window or screen. I'm going to share this screen first. So, Team Skeptic, a few things you forgot to cover, which really should have made this an idiot video. Number 1, Bruce Lipton claims that a single human has, in total, 70 trillion volts in their body, which can be focused through training and meditation to be used for healing. The most powerful lightning bolts contain 1 billion volts worth of electricity. This means that Bruce Lipton claims that the human body contains the same output energy as 70,000 of the most powerful lightning bolts on Earth all at once. Fact number 2. On average, 100 lightning bolts strike the Earth every second. This means that a single human, according to Bruce Lipton, contains 11.67 minutes worth of lightning striking the Earth. Number 3. In the best case scenario, the average human has a resistance of 100 kiloohms. Since Ohm's law states that current is voltage divided by resistance, that means that a human would be subject to 700 million amps. It only takes 0.1 to 0.2 amps to kill a normal human. This also means that, in the best case scenario, due to Ohm's law, a standard human should be able to output a mind-boggling 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd watts. Or, put another way, let's see, what's the prefix for, oh yeah, I think it was a zettawatt. Is that behind a yottawatt?
That's at the point where it doesn't matter. It's too giant to even.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. At that point.
At that point, the sun's total output energy in 1 second is 384.6 yottawatts. This means that a standard human would be able to outmatch the total output energy of the fucking sun after only about 131 minutes. It gets even worse, though. Let's assume that 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd watts is released in 1 second. That is 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd joules, since a joule is a watt per second. This means that if a single human were to release all their stored energy in 1 second, the amount of energy Bruce Lipton claims a human has, that human would fucking explode with a force equivalent to this. How do I switch screens?
However you need to switch screens. Are you doing just...
I'll stop presenting temporarily, and then I'll go back to present now. It's going to result in a yield approximately like this. You see that yield there? That is...
Yeah, give it a moment.
Because I don't see that yield.
Patience, child. We don't see it yet. Might have to... Wait. Are you trying to share a window of an image in picture view? As a web page or... Just share screen and have that be what's up.
Okay, I'm gonna share the screen then. Oh, hold on, an error has occurred with the screen sharing. Let me try that again. Weird. It's not letting me. Anyway, Nuke Map Classic. Can you guys see it now?
Now we can in 3. There we go.
Look at that yield.
All right. Let it click detonate. Click detonate. Let's see it.
That is 11 billion kilotons, and this is the result. Boom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait.
Zoom out. Zoom all the way out. I want to see this worldwide.
Let's go.
Oh, that's nothing.
Well, I'm dead.
Oh, it gets even better because this fireball stretches all the way out past Boston and into Washington, D.C.
East Coast.
Actually, with the amount of rock material and water that would be vaporized in that as well, even anybody outside the zone isn't going to last very long.
No.
Nope.
Yeah. Basically,
in fact, I'd rather be where the center of it is.
Well, yeah, just get it done over quick.
Everything in here, even Kitty Hawk, is a frickin' write-off.
That's the air. Oof. Oof.
Yeah, now you'll notice that when he zoomed out, there was a little arc to it. There's a little safe zone.
Yeah, because of the shape of the Earth. Go ahead and zoom back out.
Yeah, basically, it's just it can't get around the curve before it dissipates into space.
Yeah,
it's essentially an entire hemisphere.
Yeah. That's pretty and all, but I think this looks a little bit more fun.
Oh yeah, but it gets worse.
Oh, wait a minute. Whoa.
What is that?
Wow.
Let me guess. That's from St. Louis area. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Go to the middle of the U.S. and you fuck the entire world.
Does anybody else smell barbecue?
It's KC style too. I mean, that's pretty good.
Oh, but it gets worse.
You might have to represent.
I don't know about that one.
Resume. Oh no,
Yep.
It gets much worse. I'll have to stop sharing temporarily because I need to go back to that comment. A window. Select window or screen. Unknown PNG image. Now, facts 3 to 5 were calculated using a dry, unbroken skin-wearing human. But not every human has dry and or unbroken skin. If the skin is broken or wet, the average human's resistance drops to 1 kiloohm. And at that point, we're in a whole other ballgame.
Hang on. Couple comments from the live chat that got to be read. First one is towards you, Pelt. You fucking blast the Earth in half and miss the fucking Middle East? Tornado Pelt, you suck!
like I said, though, that just means that the Middle East won't get immediately vaporized. They'll just die over the next several days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But like I
Nothing
said,
out of the usual.
worse.
But
slower.
The resistance of 1 kiloohm.
Hang on. I said there were 2. Ugly German truths followed that up with, so the Midwest will be the downfall as a planet. Yeah.
Oh, like I said, though, once we reach 1 kiloohm resistance, that turns this whole ball game into another thing. Basically, all the increments get increased by 2 orders of magnitude. So 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd watts becomes 4.9 times 10 to the 24th power watts. A normal human with that output energy would match the output energy of the sun after only 78 seconds. We'll assume that the human, again, releases all this energy in 1 second. So I'm going to stop presenting and then present the window again. Except you're going to see something totally different. I'm going to have to... you see this decimal point here?
Yeah, go ahead and move it.
I'm going to shift that 2 places to the right. Now let's see what happens.
To the right.
Goodbye, USA.
Wait. No, the air blast would take out a third of the planet.
Oh, yeah. Let's see what happens if I move it right here. Yeah, the air blast takes out a third of the planet, and I think I just dropped my docks.
Why are all the Arabic-speaking countries labeled in Arabic?
Inclusivity.
I guess. Is that do they do that for all the other countries?
It's classic. That's why.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that the case for everything else?
China's in Chinese characters. Japan is
Oh,
Japanese
you want to see this? You want to see this? Look at what happens to Florida.
Incinerated.
And half of Nebraska.
Yeah.
Yeah, now move it to St. Louis.
I don't think I really need to because St. Louis is in the fireball regardless.
No, move it to St. Louis. I'm just curious to see how much of the North American continent would be gone.
Well, there's me, Dad.
Yeah. The fireball alone would take out 3/4 of the continental U.S. and a good chunk of Canada.
You might as well just chuck the moon at the planet.
Oh, yeah, but now you've got to contend with a whole other fact. Because I got to go back to that original comment.
Oh, hang on. TD, if you want to see that, you need to go to a channel called Gray Still Plays and take a look at some of his Universe Sandbox 2 content.
All right.
It is fun to lob large objects at the Earth.
Yeah. With the blast still in New York, the fireball goes out to Mount Pleasant in Texas, while the thermal pulse circles the globe. There's now a Goram hole in the crust where the entire eastern half of the U.S. used to be, and super volcanoes around the world go off wholesale thanks to this massive incident. All the while, the hot, molten interior of the planet spills out from a mantle, revealing hole in the crust, and the planet deflates like a fucking basketball.
No, what you have happening there is
Krypton.
Yeah. Krypton from DC, one of the Sith homeworlds in the Legends of Star Wars, or one of the planet breakers from Warhammer.
You also have the mass shadow generator from Malachor.
Fucking World Engine came through.
Yep.
Every human just turns into a cyclonic torpedo.
Everybody is toasted.
Yeah,
well
because,
done.
You, Bruce Lipton claims that every human has that power level. So, basically, every single human can use literally 10 times the power of the Chicxulub impactor for healing.
Wait a minute. I gotta figure it out. I know where Bruce got this from.
Oh.
He's a Dune
His
fan.
shiny brown chocolate.
No. Hear me out on this. He is a Dune fan. And he went a little too hardcore into the historical prequel that was written by Brian J. Anderson and Brian Herbert. Because that sort of energy output from a single person controlled by the mind, those are the sorceresses of Rozak, who are the precursors to the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah. Oh, and something else that's interesting. You know that human with the 1 kilo-ohm resistance? Care to guess how long they can power a standard 60-watt light bulb for?
A trillion years? I don't know.
No. Try more like 2 quadrillion, 589 trillion, 633 billion, 12,007,441 years.
Where's all this energy supposed to have come from?
No biggie. It's
magic.
Only about 187,654 times the best estimate for the age of the fucking universe.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, so let's remember, energy cannot be destroyed, only converted. Thus the whole matter-energy conversion that is the foundation of Einstein's work, E = mc squared, and all that bullshit. But keep in mind, let's keep going down this sci-fi realm route where he's probably getting it from. So the source of all that energy that is manifested as a single individual entity that is humanity, we're all chaos because that energy is straight from the fucking warp.
Okay, so Earth is about to become like. Well, yeah, there is that. But so the thing that gets me is like, okay, if you just approximate a human to be, let's just say that each human is a solid chunk of fat that weighs as much as a human does, right? Because that's pretty much the most calorie dense thing you've got in your body is fat. You could burn that to release essentially all the chemical energy that could be in a human at absolute maximum if they were just an actual one of those little fat monsters from Doctor Who. Right?
The
It wouldn't
adipose.
even come. Yeah, the adipose. It wouldn't come even close to that much. And the thing is, we know how humans get our energy. It's by eating food. So when do you eat this many fucking calories worth of food? When would you have time?
It gets better because I actually had to run calculations later that were something that I should have calculated from the very beginning. Which is when I used my weight to see just how badly I would heat up just from this colossal release of energy. So I said, we'll use my weight for the calculation and assume that I'm entirely made out of water. I'm not, but that won't really matter much in the end, will it?
Yeah.
So to convert watts to heat, I need to multiply the wattage by the time it runs. In this case, 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd joules. I'm doing a low-grade estimate here, since we're running it for 1 second. Then I need to divide that number by the number of grams we're heating up. 61,235 grams of water. Then I need to divide that number by the specific heat capacity of water, or 4.186 joules per gram to heat 1 gram up 1 degree Celsius. So 49 unknown number of watts, 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd divided by 61,235 is about 800 times 10 to the 15th. Or 800, I should say 800 times 10 to the 17th. We don't need exact value, or 8 times 10 to the 17th. We don't really need exact values because it won't really matter when all is said and done. 8 times 10 to the 17th divided by 4.186 is 1.9 times 10 to the, I think, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
21.
Let's see. 1.9 times 10 to the 258.
1.21 gigawatts.
11.
Well, let's just say it's a couple orders of magnitude greater than the sun.
Not just a couple orders of magnitude. We're talking 191 quadrillion degrees Celsius.
Right, we're now well into the realm where planet Earth would essentially be the single brightest object in the entire universe by a huge margin. Like, the exact numbers at this point don't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no way any single human...
wavelength for something with that amount of temperature.
Sean Carroll has it right.
The wavelength of that temperature is 1.515 times 10 to the negative 20th meters.
Okay.
X-rays have wavelengths in the range of 10 picometers to 10 nanometers. The wavelength for this, the wavelength of light emitted in this is on the order of 151 septimeters.
Yeah.
The frequency of such a wave is 1.977 times 10 to the 28th hertz. That's not just ionizing radiation. That is the mother of all ionizing radiation.
Oh, no.
I shudder
no.
to speculate what that would
No,
do to anyone nearby.
No, that's not even ionizing radiation. As Jeffrey Sloan has pointed out, at that heat, atoms would cease to exist. You are exceeding the temperature threshold that is calculated to be at the beginning of time. That is what is called the Big Bang. Literally, tornado. Keep in mind, every order of magnitude is an additional zero, is an additional decimal place. So when I say that you are a handful of orders of magnitude greater than the sun, yeah, take the sun, which is at how many thousands of degrees? Now add about another 5 to 8 zeros on top of that. That's where you are at. Which, as Sean Carroll points out, point is, Tornado, we're walking star novae.
Right. We're currently at the point where you cannot use classical mechanics to describe the events that we're talking about, because things like wavelengths, like you can't. We're getting to wavelengths that can't actually exist, if I remember correctly.
They are currently unquantifiable because we are at a technology-based limit to actually measure it. It is purely theoretical.
No, I believe we're actually at the point
basically
where
the temperature that any one human would reach exceeds the temperature threshold at the very beginning of the universe.
Erica's here.
Hello, Erica. Welcome to the show. And yes, you will have to unmute. Downfall of meats, it automatically mutes new people as they come in.
Oh, by the way, Jared, tell me when to press play. Notice where I have the sun in relation to its original point?
Oh boy, this'll be fun.
Hence why I'm kind of looking down at everything.
Okay. And go.
And I have it set at normal speed.
Well, there goes Mercury, there goes Venus, there goes Earth, there goes Mars.
Dude, they're fucking out of there.
Bye, solar system. It was nice.
Oh, Erica, did you miss what happened earlier?
Dude, I missed everything. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh god, you're gonna have to. It was. I felt bad for Kent.
Oh my god, hell yes.
Pretty badly wrecked.
Let's just say Bruce Lipton claims numbers about humans that A, end the entire fucking planet, and B, result in temperatures for those humans that exceed the temperatures at the very beginning of the fucking universe.
Oh, god damn it. You're kidding.
Not at all.
No.
It's like hydroplate, but worse.
It's like hydroplate, but worse. That's exactly what it fucking sounds like.
Yeah. We're getting to the point with this Lipton thing where heat and wavelength of photons are no longer actually adequate to describe the energies, and we're at the point where we need new physics in order for this to be true of humans.
I say we double our new units of heat midichlorians.
Right.
I ran the numbers, and the temperatures for a human being of my body weight outputting a amount of power equivalent to 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd watts results in 191 quadrillion degrees Celsius increase in body temperature.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah,
right.
And now,
which means you can't have a body anymore because you're just going to the energy. No. All of your matter will convert into photons.
Yep. So, but to the primary title and genesis of what the topic has been about. So,
right.
Kent Hovind debated Conspiracy Cats.
Right.
You are going to have to watch it because it was both painful and beautiful. The results.
Was the topic evolutionary theory?
Just evolution.
Oh hell yes! Oh my god. Bless.
So do you want to hear the things that Kent Hovind admitted on camera to not knowing?
Oh hell yes, please.
He admitted on camera to not knowing what an ERV is, to not knowing what an allele is, and to not knowing what isochron dating is.
Oh my god, Kent! Oh
on
my
camera.
God.
And not knowing what an allele is means you can't pass a high school biology class.
A high school might try a fucking middle school test. That's fucking boomer shit, dude.
Oh
yeah, that is just.
I find it hilarious you saying that, Erica, because after we went off air, and Kent literally ran before we were even off air.
You are kidding.
Not at all. When you watch it before the outro plays, you can see him leave the meet.
So who hosted this? Who hosted
Marvel
this?
Girl.
Marvel Girl.
Yeah, the channel's a Marvel Girl.
Moderated.
And I actually got to tell Kent a few times, Kent, no grandstanding.
That's his thing, though.
Kent, you know, though, Kent, it's hard to feel bad for him when he's literally standing up there every fucking day being like, I'll debate anybody. I'll debate your high school science teacher. I'll debate every single one of those evolutionists at your school.
He says that he might.
I can't win. I need to run away.
He might be changing that tune now.
He got angry too.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
He did it with Aaron Ra. He did it with RJ, and now he did it with Conspiracy Cats.
Yep.
Now
he got a little testy.
Now on top.
Oh, did he really?
Yes.
Did he get pissed?
Yes.
Yeah, he got pissed.
So here's the thing. I was the moderator, and I was quiet for the vast majority of it because I didn't need to pipe up.
Yeah, sure.
But at one point they were going round and round on a topic, so I decided, hang on, let me try to interject in this to make sure that this is understood. And because I was asking Kent questions, oh, now it's 2-on-1? No, you asked.
We jumped to. And you were being so nice to him?
Yeah.
The thing is that he has, without his victim complex, he can't cry that that he was fairly curb stomped,
Which, oh my goodness, was he curb stomped?
Oh hell yes, that is so good to hear.
It was, oh man, because Conspiracy Cats just help. The thing is, in order to curb stomp Kent, you need to not let him get onto some kind of crazy tangent. But the problem is that he is so practiced at getting people onto crazy tangents. It's honestly not that easy.
No, that is absolutely the case.
But Conspiracy Cats was just like, all right, Kent, well, I'm just going to stick with the same question because you didn't answer it. Nothing you said addressed anything that I asked you. So here's the question again. And he did it so many times.
The thing is that he won't debate him again after that.
Oh, no.
There's no fucking chance.
Hey, Erica, do you want me to send you the
Definitely not.
general summation of stuff on Discord, if you have one?
Yes, please.
Oh, yeah. I can send you the original summation of the comments, plus the calculations I did. By the way, I actually ran the numbers, and you know how watts per second are joules?
Yes.
I actually ran the numbers on the 100 kilo ohm resistance human and the 1 kilo ohm resistance human. And the 1 kilo ohm resistance human basically blew up half the United States in one shot.
Wait, hold on. Aren't joules watt seconds, not watts per second?
You guys
Does it really matter when we're talking yield?
Well, yeah, because it's a completely different unit. Because a watt is a joule per second, which means that if you want to go from watts to joules, you have to multiply by seconds, not divide by seconds.
Let me pull
out
my...
Yeah, but it was being run by one. It was being run in 1 second.
I know. I'm just being an asshole about units.
Well, hang on here. So I do have one of... damn, this book is old, but you know what? It's still useful. It's actually my engineering analysis textbook from way back.
Oh, are you going to do some railroad tracks with the units?
Yeah, that'll do.
Oh, we can. So you want to do... no, that's actually the conversion section. No. Actually, yeah, let's go with conversion. Energy, work, and heat. 1 joule. You had it at... Okay, so here... Yeah, here we go. So, 1 kilowatt hour. So...
that's an amount of energy that you could measure in joules, right?
Yes,
okay.
Is 3,600 kilojoules.
Okay. So yeah, so if you want to go straight from 1 watt in a second, how much energy? It's a watt second is 1 joule, right?
Yep.
Okay.
1 watt is 1 joule per second.
Right. So if I multiply that by 1 second, I get a joule. Got it.
There you go.
And since I was basically running the whole thing with 1 second...
No, you were right. I mean, I'm just being an asshole about units, because, look, I went to Naval Nuclear Power School, and oh my god, if I had made that mistake, they would have taken me out and shot me.
I was still running the whole thing in 1 second, just as I wasn't running it over 2 seconds.
No, I get it.
Then the numbers would get so fucking insane that it wouldn't even be worth calculating them. It's like, oh, yeah, Earth is now officially gone. And yeah, 1 human would output 10 times the yield of the Chicxulub impactor if they were 1 kilo ohm resistance.
I remember that thing. That was no fun.
Yeah, that's energy they can't. that's energy that they cannot spare when they're trying to push the fucking catastrophic plate tectonics.
Oh yeah.
No, this is me talking Bruce Lipton's numbers.
Yeah, he's the guy who was doing the quantum woo stuff about you've got electricity in your cells.
Oh yeah, quantum woo.
And I calculated that if a human had 1 kilo ohm resistance, then if they were to try and harness all the energy in their body, which is 4.9 times 10 to the 24th watts, and they would be able to match the total output energy of the sun after only 78 seconds with that kind of power. I am not joking, by the way. They would end up nuking half the United States with a yield 10 times that of the Chicxulub impactor.
Well, here's the thing, Tornado. It could really be summed up very succinctly. The amount of energy release that would be resultant of what Lipton was saying is greater than a pure matter-antimatter conversion.
Here's the thing. Physics were just different then. It's fine.
Oh, well that's the problem. This is supposed to be physics now, though.
God did it.
This guy says that this guy is saying that you have healing power in you because each of your cells has an electrical potential, which is true. But then he seems to think that you can just add up, linearly all that voltage and have that available for healing power that you put into other people through quantum woo spirit healing.
And I ran the numbers on that, and you wouldn't be healing jack shit.
Right, you would just be destroying the entire planet.
No.
You like this is the force of several nuclear weapons.
Oh no. Even worse. It would actually be a combination of multiple, not an uncountable number of supernovae. So you are technically healing stuff, but you are healing it by completely obliterating it.
You're basically just starting a new Big Bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're healing it. You're healing it by soft resetting the universe.
Right, exactly.
You can't be sick if you don't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're healing it with a soft reset of the universe, and your body is increasing the temperatures that didn't even exist at the time of the Big Bang.
Okay, hold on. So I haven't seen this debate yet. I have it pulled up on my phone now, but it's like fucking almost 4 a.m. where I am right now. So what was Kent's point with bringing this up?
Oh no, he didn't bring this up. This is something that was on the Team Skeptic channel a few days ago.
Team Skeptic. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody much stupider.
We're circling around several different topics in a chaotic whirlwind. So,
we're getting it all at once. Good.
But one of my favorite things was when Kent said, "Well, what is it that convinces you that a mosquito is related to? I think it was like a squirrel or something."
Yeah, as usual. He has to make it up.
Right. And so Conspiracy Cat said, "Well, I would tell you, but you've already admitted that you don't know what any of it is."
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fucking fair. Because the thing is that Kent is the kind of guy that will fucking start off a sentence by saying he understands the law of monophyly and then demonstrate the exact opposite within 5 seconds of the sentence.
Did you see the King Crocoduck debates that he did?
Absolutely incredible. Oh, can we go ahead and show for the audience?
Right, exactly. It's so painfully obvious that he's saying that because he doesn't know what it is.
I mean, it feels like a gag in a sitcom.
It does.
I think,
Jared, in your comment,
from a
you forgot to say
TV
2.
show known as Hogan's Heroes works rather well. I know nothing.
But the thing is, that is him. He doesn't know any of this, but he keeps pretending that he does.
Hey, Erica, I think. What's your Discord?
Oh, my Discord. Let me see. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Do you need my? Hold on just a sec. Because I don't know my actual code deal. And I'm in 6 Discord groups, so it's fucking pathetic of me.
Is that all 6?
I've lost count.
And
I only really use 3 of them.
Send the Discord tag through the internal chat.
Okay, wait. How do we do that?
3, 4, 5.
And that would be in the
I got 9.
bottom left corner of your Discord.
Yeah, there it is. Sick. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Yeah, the thing is about Kent is that he relies entirely on baffling the people that already believe him. With what sounds like legitimate science.
Yeah, it really is.
He gives them the old razzle dazzle.
It's honestly pathetic. It's It's just so sad. And the thing is, I know that it works because I was a young Earth creationist. So were you, Erica. So you know.
Yeah, no, and the thing is it's not just that. It's also incredibly fucking
Send your friend
frustrating.
request.
Oh, hell yeah. Wait, idle. Hold on, wait. Friends. And friend. Oh, wait, pending. That's it. I know how to do this shit.
Good, because I barely know how to use Discord, honestly.
I know, I have to dick around with it a little bit to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Who knows if they're doing anything, really?
Someone sent me a friend request on Twitch the other day, and I was like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Dude, I'm
yeah,
not
they're
even...
trying to become more social.
So,
I can't even touch shit. I don't even know Discord well enough yet.
Are you throwing the moon at the Earth now?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's see it.
At what speed?
Whatever the velocity is set at.
No, you got to go to light speed.
Give it like 9/10 light speed at least.
Hey, how come all those lights are still on?
I'm trying to obliterate Mexico. Come on now.
Wreck Mexico.
Well, you're throwing the moon at the Earth. You're going to hit Mexico at some point.
Yeah. Although, in all the times that Gray Still Plays has done this, Australia is oddly resilient.
That's the thing. Australia's been forged by the flames.
Quite literally.
He clearly
Quite literally.
He clearly either hasn't used something large enough or fast enough.
No, I haven't.
Venomous enough.
No, I mean not getting rid of Australia. So.
That would be because they're upside down.
You know what? You know what my favorite thing is about Australia and South America that creationists never bother to talk about? It's the Cenozoic fossil record of commonality between them that is not easily explained by any of their proposed mechanism for post-flood dispersal from a arc.
Well, the thing is that they've got a huge rafting problem with the diversity of the fucking platyrides. You know, the New World primates are a huge issue, especially considering that they're
Kent just explains that wave of hyperglaciation, even though we have no evidence of 300-foot sea level drops or such extensive glaciation caused those in the past 4,000 years.
Well, and then you've got, you know,
well, in the past
who's making up a land bridge between, you know, Southeast Asia and Australia to get the kangaroos there.
Yeah,
and he brought that up
tonight.
tonight.
Level, I don't think Australia will be connected to Eurasia.
Nope.
No,
it ain't gonna happen.
No.
Yeah,
could you drop it low enough that they could raft across? I don't even know. Like it doesn't seem like
not even.
I don't even think that you could, and I'm not a geology, you know.
Yeah.
But that's honestly, biogeography is, I think, one of the things that is least well explained by creationism that is also really interesting about the world. Like, why is it that giant salamanders and alligators live in North America and China and nowhere else?
Yeah, and the Timnospondylus, their whole radiation is entirely like almost coastal and like slightly inland, which shouldn't be so if we're dealing with a fucking paradise, you know?
Right, and all of these things were like, why is it that, you know, the fossil record of, say, like Paleozoic Africa and South America, why do they match up there? But then when you get to, like, say, the Cenozoic, the fossil record starts matching up between Australia and South America.
It lines up entirely with
Am I getting close
plate
yet to the speed of light?
conventional.
Right. And the thing is, you couldn't explain that with plate tectonics if you're going to assume that they all happen in a year.
Almost.
Yeah, not
Hyperspeed plate
catastrophically.
tectonics.
Yeah, congratulations, the planet's now melted by friction.
Yeah, good luck. And the fucking accelerated radioactive decay that you require.
Well,
yeah.
The great thing about getting the mantle to flow at those speeds is that I looked into, like, what's the viscosity of the mantle? It turns out that, like, you know, the pitch that they use to hold roads together, like the blacktop stuff that is what is the majority of a road, that stuff has, that's a liquid, right? And it's a very high viscosity liquid, but its viscosity is still about a quintillionth that of the viscosity of the mantle. Not kidding.
Oh my god.
Wait a minute. You mean a creationist is getting things massively wrong?
That's impossible.
No.
But they're honest.
And the thing is that, like, the scale of the errors is always multiple orders of magnitude. It's like the same kind of error. Like I think I heard Aaron Ross say this or something. It's like the same kind of error. It's saying like, oh, the moon is 6 inches away.
Time up all the way.
It's actually the velocity.
No, he's jacking up the time step.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't used this program in too long.
I haven't used it either.
That's the time step. You're at...
Boom. Gone.
That's the time
Rip.
step.
You broke it. You broke it.
It's gone. He's dead, Jim.
Yeah. Everything just disappeared.
Yeah, that was the time step you were using there.
But yeah, it just boggles my mind to the degree to which you can get something wrong and then expect people to take you seriously.
Well, and the thing is that when creationists get something monumentally wrong over and over and over again, it's fine with fucking evolutionists. But when conventional science does, it's a big
10.5 kilometers thing.
Oh, when conventional science gets anything even the slightest bit wrong.
Yeah, it's a whole conspiracy.
Like they'll say, "Oh, hey, look, this measurement of the speed of light from 1897 doesn't have the current accepted speed within its margin of error." What the hell, science? It's
Well,
like,
I don't think
okay.
I don't think it's a coincidence that when I see creationists actually cite sources, they're all from like 1970.
Well, that's when creationism started.
Yeah, they don't like
Yeah,
recent
exactly. Yeah, we're dealing with ancient fucking literature here.
By the way, Erica, check your Discord.
Okay, hold on.
Well, so one of the things that came up off air in the little chat that myself, Marvel Girl, and Ragical had with Conspiracy Cats before we went into the Discord server for the off-air portion of the after show, the whole thing about how Kent would just keep going to his script, and he was kind of baffled by it. It's like, but I had to point out to him, it's like, well, when you've practiced and used the same script for 25 years, it's really easy just to try to go back right onto it.
Yeah, and the thing is that he relies entirely on having a pre-programmed answer. So if you throw him off even slightly, that just triggers a new entire branch of the conversation.
You derailed the crazy train onto another track of crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
So one thing I said to Conspiracy Cats, because it came up in the debate, but it wasn't super on topic, so I didn't get to it, was Kent brought up his polystrate fossil thing, right?
Oh, the fucking trees.
And so I pointed out that this had been explained in a book from 1868. His point about quote-unquote polystrate fossils hasn't been reasonable since the 1860s, not the 1960s.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm also pretty sure he's been corrected on those before.
Oh yeah.
He has, and I'm fairly certain Answers in Genesis doesn't even use, polystrate fossils as one of their lines of evidence.
Well, I don't think they do either. And one of the big reasons is they're just not polystrate.
Yeah,
because
they're not.
Every layer in a rock formation demarks a difference between strata.
Yeah.
There has to be some kind of disconformity where there's a different depositional environment in order for it to be a different stratum.
And the thing oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. The thing is that you'll never find one of these polystrate fossils going in between formations.
Right.
That's because they'll always be found in rapid depositional environments.
Right, which is why it's a single stratum. It's not.
Go find one in no limestone. I dare ya, creationists.
Oh my god. The limestone thing, I think limestone has a deposition rate of 1.5 times 10 to the 13th fucking grams annually.
Dapper, you should really, or Jay Brown, you should really slow down the time scale.
Yeah, if you want to actually do things, you got to keep it at a reasonable time scale. Otherwise, it just the simulation doesn't know what to do.
Ludicrous speed.
That's pretty much what I'm trying to go for.
Oh god. Ooh, rip in peace.
Break the earth.
So hard. Part of the earth has quite literally turned into blue.
Let's get some new moons.
It's so hot, it's just blue.
Let's get some new moons here, huh? Couple new moons.
Yeah. Erica, You see those temperatures that I calculated there?
Yes, yes.
Not even close to what we're seeing now.
Those temperatures did indeed exceed the thresholds at the very beginning of the gosh dang universe.
Yeah, that physics can actually hold together. It's like a fucking temperature, or it's like a thermal Planck's constant, right? Where things just start exploding and breaking apart.
Right. That's one of the points I made, is that we're currently at a scale where classical thermodynamics can no longer adequately describe what we're talking about.
They just don't.
191 or 19 quintillion degrees Celsius temperature increase.
Guys, it's fine. It's just a miracle. Don't even worry about it.
Atoms no longer exist at those temperatures.
Right.
The electrons just yeet out of there.
I'm pretty sure you're in a quark plasma sort of situation at that point.
Yeah.
Bye-bye planet at that point.
I don't even think quarks would exist then.
No, not even.
You just completely memorized everything in the gosh dang solar system at that rate.
What about strange quarks? Do we know if they would exist? Hold on, I'm checking.
Not even them.
Yeah.
Oh, so I finally saw a picture today of a false Gariel. I knew they existed, but I've never seen a picture of one.
Well, they're so cute.
I know, they're nice. Well, they're not as cute as the dwarf caiman, though.
No, they're not as cute as the dwarf caiman. I was at the Natural History Museum today, in London, and I saw this very, very chunky looking synapsid, and I was like gushing all over it. I was like, this is the guy, right? Like, this is the fucking guy. And everyone around me was like, oh my god, it's hideous. And I was like, oh no, come on. It was
Was it a dinocephalian?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't our sweet, blessed, fucking later Permian guys. It was like an early synapsid with like the big splayed legs out to the side.
Oh, like a pelycosaur grade synapsid?
Yeah, very pelycosaur.
They are those early synapsids are an odd mix of ugly as shit, but also the most adorable things.
I love
weird.
I love them so much. I love the hideous shit, and they had a really cool like Diplocalus skull too, kind of in their geology. I don't know why it was near their geology section. I guess it was kind of like.
Wait, where were you again?
The Natural History Museum of London.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking that you were just describing something that sounded a lot like a display in the Denver Museum of Natural Science.
Oh yeah. Well, they've got this cool thing where it's like a right below. So their geology portion is you take an escalator kind of up into it, and you go through this big false mantle of like a scale model of the Earth. And on the ground floor, they've got a bunch of like kind of treasury items. So they've got like a one of the giant ground lemurs from like early Madagascar, colonization of like the primates and stuff like that. It's a big fucking skull. And then they've got Diplocalus and a couple of big fluorite like fucking cubes and shit like that. It's awesome. If you ever find yourself in London, do not miss it. 1, because it's free, and 2, because it's awesome.
I mean, those are both good reasons.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm going to have to end up in London.
Adequately explains what would happen if a single human were to tap into their energy and use it for healing.
There we go.
Bruce Lipton.
Beautiful.
Yeah, sure, you'd heal everything. You'd heal the entire universe out of existence.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of Kent Hovind's claim about cyanide curing cancer. It's like, I guess technically, yeah, cyanide kills cancer cells.
Yeah, and every other cell.
Right, exactly. It just doesn't make a distinction. It's like, in the lab, this has been shown to kill cancer cells. Well, yeah, so is fire and bullets. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
In the lab, lots of things will kill cancer cells. It doesn't mean you should treat your damn cancer with it.
Yeah, you can't have cancer if you're dead.
I mean, technically.
True. Yeah, Kent has absolutely zero idea about like even he lacks like a cursory knowledge of even basic geology.
Everything?
Oh,
yes.
This whole Bruce Lipton thing was after I calculated just what the heck would happen if you were to dump a small moon's worth of water onto the planet. The hydroplate just resulted in the entire surface liquefying into magma.
Hydroplate is trash. I had an argument with one guy who was trying to explain the iridium layer, like the iridium boundary for the KPG.
With hydroplates?
Yeah, with hydroplate. He was saying that because there have been volcanic eruptions that have produced iridium before, like a slightly higher concentration of iridium. Mind you, nowhere close to the concentration that you get from meteorite.
Right.
Yeah, and he was like, well, the thing is that, they blast up into the air and then they come down like meteorites. And I was like, hold on just a quick second.
Oh my
You
God.
are implying that iridium is a result of just fucking entering the atmosphere, like it's just goddamn earth rocks coming back through the atmosphere, and iridium is somehow synthesized on these meteorites? Because otherwise you're not even referencing the volcanism that you just brought up. Oh, it was fucking crazy, my dudes. It was absolutely batshit. But the thing is that's everything involving Walt Brown.
Man, that's
one another preventative dose of batshit before you watch the debate.
Yes, please, because I have to go soon because I'm tired and it's fucking 4 a.m.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy this bit because someone from the audience asked Ken, if fish weren't taken on the ark and the whole world was flooded, how were the fresh and saltwater fish able to survive individually?
Yeah, excellent.
They weren't.
Hey,
they weren't.
Calm down, Pelt. Take a wild guess what Kent's response was.
Let's say exotic miracle-like solutions.
Well, wait.
Close.
Think of the dumbest thing you can think of, and then make it dumber.
Oh God. Okay. Was it something fucking stupid about regular stratification that you can do in his goddamn jar experiment?
No. It was even worse. His claim was that all the water on Earth used to be fresh water, and the fish just adapted as the oceans became saltier.
Well,
so Kent, where did the fucking salt come from, my guy? And why wasn't it there previously?
I want to know
what would that much fresh water do to a saltwater ecosystem anyway?
Kill everything in it.
Oh my God. Okay, so
I want to know where all the evaporite deposits come from. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, the evaporites are great, but I just did a video on the Ordovician extinction, and that's a huge portion of the latter half, like the very final death knell of the organisms that went extinct in the Ordovician, was because everything that survived the massive glaciation event and sea, sort of like the shallow seas, the extinction of this, or rather the pulling out of the shallow seas, was killed because the glaciers that had then kind of been where all that shallow seawater had essentially been deposited into began to melt, and as we know, glaciers melt with fucking fresh water because saltwater doesn't deposit in glaciers, and so essentially you got this horrible stratification where everything was out of its salinity depth, essentially. Yep. And that's where we get all that radioactive shale that you find in North Africa from.
Now, there's the question of introducing 6 kilometers worth of fresh water onto the Earth's surface,
which is so much worse than the Ordovician. It's insane.
Yeah, everything relying on, if everything was saltwater before, that's all dead. All sea life is dead.
It doesn't matter.
And then all you've got are terrestrial animals, and apparently there are no insects in the ark because apparently they don't have the breath of life. Go fucking figure.
That drives me absolutely up a wall because spiracles and book lungs are literally methods of gas exchange in arthropods.
Yeah, but they're not nostrils, and the Bible says only things with nostrils. So
does it specify nostrils?
So in the KJV, it's what it says is that every creature describes a few different in whose nostrils is the breath of life. So, being a King James only guy, Ken Hovind then goes on to say that, well, because insects breathe, as he puts it, through their skin, which is not accurate. You could say that about many salamanders.
I was going to say, what about the amphibians? What about the fish?
Well, the fish didn't need to go on the ark because, well, it was a flood. They can just stay in the water.
Except massive 6 kilometer dump worth of fresh water all over the planet.
Also, I've never heard creationists tackle like pinnipeds, right? So like, no one ever talks about the seals or the walruses, or the any of our semi-aquatic mammals.
I think I've heard some AIG stuff.
Good luck having a sea otter out of the sea for a year.
Yeah,
Well, no,
they're
so
not going to like it.
I believe that the normal answer, at least from answers in Genesis about aquatic tetrapods, is that the Bible apparently specifies that it was land creatures, because it says it creepeth or goeth upon the land or creepeth upon the land or something like that.
Which includes insects, by the way.
Right, but then it would follow up with in whose nostril is the breath of life, I guess. So we're combining these two criteria for what gets on the ark. And so apparently because aquatic tetrapods don't go about on the land, they don't count. But then, of course, that brings up the question, well, what about, animals that spend a lot of time in the water, but also a lot of time on the land? Like, what about hippos? Do hippos go on the ark?
Well, and the thing is that most pinnipeds actually spend most of their time, at least 50% plus,
right,
on land. Right.
I mean, it's safer.
Yeah, and they have the breath of life in their nostrils. I would classify an elephant seal trying to move across the substrate as creeping.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, of course, there's also
dramatic fashion
issue of the freshwater creatures, because you got to imagine all those dead terrestrial plants and animals, all those dead marine plants and animals. Those are going to feed massive toxic algae blooms.
Oh yeah. It's eutropia. It's eutrophic conditions on steroids.
Yeah.
Oh, and it gets better, because if you magic away the issue of not having any plants on the ark and thus the oxygen starvation that follows, the animals, and also the just regular starvation, the animals eat, and they also do a lot of defecation. Do you know what the main smelling component in feces is?
Methane? Yeah.
Hydrogen sulfide.
Good God.
It turns out that is toxic, because it messes with cells' ability to utilize oxygen.
Yeah, there it is.
Hence,
it's
animals
also
are smelling
flammable and explosive. So think about a nice cold winter night on the ark. Someone goes to light a match,
whoosh,
and I think you can see where this is going.
Well, at a time when the only source of light would have been oil lamps.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And massive clouds of hydrogen sulfide just float along, and one touches the oil lamp that's currently lit on fire, and, well, literally,
wooden boat
boom
no
goes the
longer
dynamite.
Yeah, basically every single step of the Noah's Flood story, if we're going to take it the way that people like Ken Telvind or Ken Ham take it, is going to either require the extinction of all life or yet another miracle. And we're essentially at like an infinite regress of miracles in order to make this true.
And
there's also another part. Because if you take in consideration that the entire world's flooded, there's going to be some massive fucking storms.
Yeah.
And that's going to generate a lot of heat.
Well, and if you've heard some of their hypotheses on how you get our coal seams, right? It usually has something to do with floating forests that end up submerging and creating these massive coal seams. But the problem is a lot of these have trace amounts of like charcoal and things like that because they're the result of like seasonal forest fires. And so what they have to result to is that there was a floating forest that was then struck by lightning, caught on fire, was put out by the subsequent rain, and then sank and became a coal seam.
Yeah,
I've got one to top that. I've got one to top that.
That also gives me another thing. Ever heard of inbreeding depression?
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, can I get mine out of the way? Because it has to do with the log net. It has to do with the flowing
It's
forest.
only a problem if you don't have perfect genomes. Apparently.
Yeah.
Wait,
Created
no.
diagnostic.
No. Dino, let's get it right. It's only a problem if you know what a genome is.
Yeah.
And on top of that, do you know how much mass you'd have to add to the Earth to flood it 6 kilometers deep?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, effectively the mass of a small moon, like, say, Europa.
Again, magic.
Wait.
Hey, but don't you know if you flatten out a single drop of water, it can cover, like, thin enough, it can cover the entire fucking world?
Yeah, if you had, like, 150,000 tons.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Wait.
One of those order of magnitude errors.
Hang on.
You wanna know what
hang
I have
on.
to top the floating forest?
Yeah.
On Twitter, I had a creationist unironically tell me there was a log mat the size of Texas.
Wow.
At least.
Okay. So hang on. Would this one drop of water theorem be similar to the electric universe postulate of the one electron universe?
Well, no, because the problem is the one electron universe
is plausible.
It's physically possible if the number of electrons observed in the universe was equal or about equal to the number of positrons, then the electric universe or the single electron proposition would be plausible. Literally the only problem with it is that there aren't enough positrons. That's it. Yes. Because it predicts an equal number of positrons and electrons.
Well, yeah, and
that's at least better than what Kent's got going for him.
Oh, it's a lot better. Well, and there was one other thing. One second. So there was one other thing. Erica, did you see my video I did with Dead Kennedy in Space about Kent getting genetics badly wrong?
No, I haven't seen it yet. Tell me about it.
All right. So he says a number of things. One of which is that each base pair is a gene.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that in the stream the other day.
Right. So he said that again in this debate.
You're kidding.
That's bullshit.
What did he say? Because I'm pretty sure he did.
It's not even just bullshit. Like it sounds like it's a fucking lie. Like it is such a gross misunderstanding of everything even remotely resembling a middle school science textbook, which he claims to fucking teach high school science for 15 years, that I have no idea how Kent has an iota of pride left in his body.
Kent says that the textbooks are full of lies. Kent Hovind has this whole seminar called Lies in the Textbooks. You know what I call that whole seminar? Kent Hovind lies about textbooks.
Basically, yeah.
But
oh man, I still cannot believe that. Because the thing is, until I saw that video clip of him giving that speech like 20 years ago, I didn't actually think he was that wrong about genetics.
He genuinely never mixes up the script. Like I think Steve McRae has mentioned like 2 or 3 times that he's actually stopped using something that he has been indeed proven wrong about. You know, but to Kent, unless it's something that you can visibly observe, that Kent rather can visibly observe with his own eyeballs, it's just a fucking conspiracy.
Or even if it is, because he claims to have seen the annual VARVs in ice cores. Actually,
holy crap.
His story about this is actually not super far-fetched. His story goes that he was having a debate at some university near where they were keeping these ice core samples, right? In some deep freeze warehouse, right?
Right.
And so the people who operated it after the debate said, hey, we would like to show you these things so we can explain ice core dating and stuff, right? So they took him into the big freezer and they uncovered one of these long ice cores. And they went into the whole seasonal variation in snowfall and occasional thawing and and compaction of ice crystals to form glacier ice and all. They went through all of that apparently. And so the thing is that actually sounds like what would happen if a bunch of people who worked at like the warehouse that stored these things were like, hey, let's fix Kent.
Yeah.
But then his only response was like, but you don't know if that's summer, winter. That could just be warm, cold. It's like,
that is...
No, not really. Not given the definition rates of snow in the areas.
I mean, the thing is, too, is that the mass extinctions are so problematic. Like you just mentioned, the hot, warm, cold. You know, you've got too much oxygen, anoxia. Too much oxygen, anoxia, over and over again through what are supposed to be flood layers. Right. You know, which leads to, you know, I guess growth of multiple different kinds of arthropods or reptiles or whatever, what have you.
Yeah, reptiles.
Yeah, thanks to the fucking ice, rather the poles not being frozen over. But Kent, I've never heard a creationist actually even mention the anoxic conditions that occur in the fossil record.
The only thing I've ever heard
with isotope ratios.
Right. The only thing I've ever heard them talk about is periods of higher oxygenation on the basis of things like air bubbles in amber.
Yeah, but the thing is that doesn't explain the ridiculous anoxia that occurred in the Ordovician, the Devonian, and the Carboniferous.
I think they're barely aware of any period in which there was less oxygen anywhere on Earth than there is today. I don't think it even enters into their ideas.
I think you're right, and I think that kind of lends itself to the same bias that they use with the fossil record for like just talking about fucking dinosaurs and the odd synapsid, and just skipping most of the Permian and most of the Triassic.
Kent Colvin's lie about how fossils and rocks are dated. Oh, you're telling me here that you date the rocks by the fossils? No, the fossils give relative ages.
Yeah, relative versus absolute. Yeah.
Well, have you heard?
Then you're telling me you date the fossils by the rocks. Isn't that circular reasoning? No, because we date the rocks when we have the fossils by, again, the layers, but that only tells us, hey, this layer is older than this layer is younger than that layer, but we don't know by how much. When we apply various methods of radiometric dating, then we discovered the absolute age.
I'm fairly certain it was a creationist who proposed the law of faunal succession too.
Yeah, basically. Essentially, everyone in Europe would have been some kind of creationist at the time that was proposed. Yeah. They wouldn't have been Kent's kind, but they were some kind of creationist.
Right.
Although, I will say one thing. Kent does have a group of animals that he talks about sometimes that aren't synapsids or dinosaurs that are only known from the fossil record, and that's trilobites.
Yeah,
and he talks about them to say that they may be extant in the form of giant deep-sea isopods.
God damn it.
Yup. Yup. He'll talk about trilobites, then he'll flash a picture of a gigantic isopod, and it's like, okay, I guess what segmented body is the commonality here? Like what?
You might as well, you might
as well know what a fucking trilobite looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like decapod versus literally any other arthropod.
Right, like basically pan-chelicerates.
Yeah,
not even actual chelicerate.
Yeah, not even legitimate chelicerates.
Like this is the sort of thing where like it's like confusing a human and a salamander in terms of divergence time is what we're talking about here.
Because they're both tetrapods.
Right, exactly. It was like, okay, they're both arthropods. Like, yup, that's the closest, that's the most that you can say about them. You could not find two more different arthropods if you wanted to.
The thing that drives me crazy is that he gets those fucking audiences in there and sits them down and then parades around like the cock of the walk, with his fucking fake ass lab coat for.
You know what I'd do? I'd probably get my ass kicked out of there. It's like, Kent, here. You just said something wrong, X, Y, and Z, and here's A, B, and C, and alpha to omega, and one through infinity reasons why that is wrong.
Right.
And I'd probably get myself kicked out of those seminars faster than you can say evolution.
The bright side is that he's been running Dinosaur Adventureland for what like 5-ish years, 6-ish years, something like that, right? He's been out of prison for about that long, huh?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. He's baptized like 70 people, which means the number of, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I used to go to church, there was probably 70 people every goddamn Sunday. It was a big
that's not very many.
Yeah, it was a big church, but yeah, it's just not that many people. And he was like, "Oh, we've got our 73rd person who's getting baptized today at Dinosaur Adventureland."
Great numbers, Kent.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, is this a brag?
At least he's honest about his numbers, unlike Ken Ham.
Fair. That is fair.
Yeah, Ken Ham's Ark Park, where some friends of mine were just dying to find a parking space.
I'm sure.
I don't think I've seen or spoken to a single person who had any trouble finding a parking space in anything other than the first parking lot, and none of them waited in a line.
Right. I mean, they have the infrastructure set up for it, but it's never necessary.
Yeah, there's never
every time I go to Los Angeles to the Natural History Museum there, I may end up being in the secondary parking lot because the first one just gets filled up. And usually I'm lucky to find one initially in the second lot.
Today, an hour before closing, the dinosaur section of the Natural History Museum, which is a lovely exhibit. There's a ton of really cool specimens there. They've got like a full Gallimimus. They've got a really incredible like portion where they've got their like ankylosaur preserved like plates, like the entire back. It's awesome. Anyways, it's like wall to wall. You can't squeeze through, and And it's because dinosaurs are fucking awesome. And you know what's not? A big ass boat.
Yeah, basically. Oh,
yeah, it's like people
I just
care
remembered.
about what's factually correct. Huh?
Okay.
Who'd have thought?
Erica.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kent Hovind, horrible misidentifications of animals. So I once heard him refer to a skeleton in a museum that he showed a picture of as a dinosaur named Zeuglodon. Which is Zeuglodon is in fact a fossil cetacean. It's a whale. What do you think the skeleton? But what do you think the skeleton was actually of? Because it wasn't Zeuglodon or a dinosaur.
A whale.
It wasn't even a whale.
Was it an ichthyosaur? Was it a marine reptile?
It was a mosasaur.
It was a mosasaur. Okay, great. That's
so he identified a mosasaur by the genus name of a whale and then called it a dinosaur. He got it wrong at every possible stage.
More lies in the sentence than there are words in the fucking sentence.
Exactly.
It's
like,
stop with
Rob, you were right. Kent Hovind can tell more lies in one sentence than there are words in that sentence.
He's dead on. He's dead on.
It's amazing how many mistakes he can make in a single statement. It's
also how could you even look at a mosasaur? Like you can look at one of the flippers and know that it's not a cetacean.
Yeah.
Do you think Kent? I can. You can. You think Kent can?
No.
I think that Kent is a really big moron, but I would hope
No, Kent isn't a moron. He lies for money.
No, I think he does both. I think that he lies for money in some areas, but I genuinely think he is a moron in others. There's no way that someone is capable of misunderstanding something so authentically so many times.
And brag about it.
Well, hang on. Counterpoint. Have you met a flat earther?
Fair.
I mean,
you know what's another one of my favorites?
In existence, so you know.
So another one of my favorites is when Kent points out that pelvic bones have different shapes in male and female whales because of their different roles in reproduction, and that this is somehow evidence that they're not pelvic bones. I'm like, I'm sorry, are you familiar with mammal pelvic bones? Because sexual dimorphism in pelvic bones isn't exactly some kind of unheard of thing for mammals.
Or side note, are you familiar with the fact that numerous species of whale require a third party to efficiently copulate? Like they actually have to have a third male or female come along and prop one of them up so that they can efficiently have sex.
Whale sex. Sponsored by Jackson Wheat.
Yes, sponsored by Jackson Wheat, exactly.
I wonder if Kent knows about the lesbian lizard species.
Oh, the whiptail lizards?
Yeah, where like they're all parthenogenic, but in order to actually stimulate ovulation, they have to mount each other because otherwise their biochemistry just doesn't get triggered.
Interesting.
The thing is that's a product of the fall because, as we know, gay is bad.
Right, that's unnatural.
Speaking of the fall, speaking of that, it's like I actually saw, I think someone say that, death came about because sin entered the world. And that was when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of, ate the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But then it brings up a whole new question. It's like, you do realize that for sin to enter, you do realize that for the knowledge of good and evil to even be there, you have to have sin in the world already. Right?
Wait a minute. You mean the God of the Judeo-Christian Bible is a liar and an asshole?
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
Bible's mythology. It
takes
from mythology.
Yeah,
it didn't make sense.
So the thing is that it's like, I've read Genesis 1 through like 6 numerous times, maybe 1 through 8, 1 through the flood or whatever. And that whole first portion where they're talking about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, sin didn't come about death didn't come about through sin. Death came about because Adam and Eve got kicked out of the garden and could no longer eat from the tree of life. right? So it's not like, and they just conveniently forget there's like a whole fucking paragraph dedicated to the fact that God was like, oh, we don't want them to be like us because now they know the difference between good and evil, and we don't need them to also be immortal, so let's kick them out of the fucking garden.
Well, the problem is that a lot of these interpretations of the Bible, even if, like, let's just accept the broadest truth claims of Christianity as being
sure,
true.
Whatever.
We'll just go with it. I don't get into my own personal religious views. We'll just accept it for that purpose. The problem is that there are more than one interpretation. There's more than one interpretation of Genesis that can account for these broadest of truth claims for Christianity, that can more or less make Christianity true. But they have decided to attach themselves very strongly to a particular, very small subset of the possible interpretations that are compatible with Christianity, and then just run with it. Even if the text doesn't support it, which it doesn't.
No, I mean, the thing is so I read some of John Walton's works, right? And then I think it's Nathaniel, I forget his last name, or rather, I forget his first. Yeah, I forget his last name.
Nathaniel Jeanson?
No. God, no. Fuck no. No. Just John Walton. He does this really excellent exegesis, right, of Genesis, where he's like, it's not a coincidence that every time a temple is mentioned biblically, right, it takes fucking 6 days and then a 7th day of inauguration and rest and celebration. And he's like, considering Genesis was written down, even according to the fucking creationists, centuries after the events supposedly occurred.
Not according to Kent.
Really?
Yeah.
Kent thinks that Adam wrote the parts of the Bible about him, that he wrote the parts that came before because God told him what to write. Then Noah wrote the parts about Noah. Then those got passed down into like Abraham, who wrote the parts about him, all the way to Moses, who wrote the stuff starting in Exodus. But he was the one who compiled Genesis from those previous writings.
So he literally takes the documentary hypothesis and goes in the complete fucking opposite direction with it.
He makes it even more crazy than the Mosaic authorship hypothesis.
God damn it, Kent.
Yeah, he actually thinks significant portions of Genesis were written by Adam and Noah and Abraham and Isaac.
Here's the
Where's
thing.
my IV so I can pump the vodka into my veins directly?
Yeah, that's the kind of shit that makes me think that he's, like, at least on some levels, a bad faith actor. Right? Because if you... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Like I said, I need something stronger than Mountain Dew, damn it.
Yeah, it's almost time you start drinking like a man.
No, dude, I fucking got into this stream drunk, and I'm, like, starting to sober up, and I'm, like, looking around like, God damn, after hearing that, I need a little bit more.
You don't want to come down live on stream.
For every movie night ever.
Now, well, I don't think Erica understands what movie night is or used to be. And before we go on, I do have to read this out because the answer to the latest question in chat is obviously a yes. From Ugly German Truce. The comment before that broke the chat because this was talking about Kent and the number of baptisms that he has performed. Well, he did not get that many females wet before he had his own ministry, nor for that long.
Oh, I'm not even going to touch that with a 39.5-foot pole.
Honestly, the idea, really and truly, I mean this as much as anyone possibly can. The idea of even starting to think about Ken Hovind's sexual life makes me nauseous to the degree that I need to go take, like, a fucking Rolade.
Oh, you know what's ironic is hearing his pre-prison speeches about marriage, and he's going on about how, like, oh, divorce is ruining the country, and I say, just get married to one woman, stay married to her for the rest of your life, then you don't have to worry about being on your third wife. And I'm listening to this while Kent Hovind is currently on his second marriage with a third marriage that's not actually legally recognized.
Well, I mean, like, I have no idea, honestly, how he manages to, like, rationalize his choices to himself, and how his folks, the people that live at Dinosaur Adventureland, people live there, right? Am I incorrect?
Yeah. Yep, there are some full-time residents, it seems.
Okay, that's what I thought. So then the people that live there don't see, at least through portions. Like, okay, fine. If you're not going to see through his bullshit takes on evolution, surely you can see through the hypocrisy on the whole divorce thing.
So his excuse for his first, so he actually has excuses. The first divorce, his wife filed for it. So
what? Repeat that.
The first divorce, his wife filed for divorce. So he considers that to be not his doing because she's the one who filed for it.
Of course.
The second one, he annulled on the basis that wife number 2, according to him, wasn't a Christian, or at least wasn't a real Christian.
Oh, fuck him.
Right. He self-annulled the marriage because he said, oh, Mary Toko, the anti-vax lady, she's not really a Christian because I said so.
So he just knows
it doesn't work that way.
I agree.
For Henry VIII. Sorry.
In fact, you know what? This is one of the only times I'm ever going to say this.
Top.
But I'm with Steven Anderson on this one. Because Steven Anderson one time got up and started screaming about how Kent Hovind is a snake and a false Christian because Mary Toko is a Christian and he doesn't get to just say that she isn't. What she isn't is a follower of Kent Hovind, and that doesn't make her not a Christian. And I'm like, you know what? Pastor Steven Anderson, whose church is like 2 miles away from me, you bought it. You managed to get this one right. Good job.
And that's the thing. Like, you've got to have like such an incredibly gargantuan ego, you know, to be able to justify these things to yourself. Because I constantly go back and forth on like, is Kent actually delusional on these things, or, you know, is he aware of his kind of mistruths? Because I find it really hard to believe that he's not aware of at least some.
I think there's a fair.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No,
I think there's a fair chance that he actually has narcissism. He's clinically narcissistic. I don't know because I'm not a doctor, but everything seems to point that way.
That would make sense, because then if he actually does have like narcissistic personality disorder, that would make a lot of sense on why he can kind of justify his own like
bullshit
basically. Yeah.
As well as why he comes across as very charming. He manages to keep cult of personality, but the people closest to him who leave complain about frequent emotional abuse.
Shocker.
So all of those things.
Tell me that they're not sitting around watching Kent's services and making jokes about fucking small dogs being worthless like constantly?
Nope. Although, to be fair, I have made a few small dog jokes in my time too.
The thing is small dogs, they're not my favorite kind of. I got 2 big ass dogs, so it's like they're not my favorite kind of dog. But you know, that's just such a tired joke.
Wait, let's make sure we're understanding here. By small dog, are you talking about the creatures that are about the size of a chihuahua?
Yes.
Yeah. So an overgrown rat.
Yeah. So
very large Mexican rat.
He likes to tell this joke about how much effort went into breeding the Chihuahua, and then he says a dog is 100% useless.
Go into a dog that was effectively useless.
Right.
Yep.
He does spend. All right, dude. I gotta get out of here. It's 4:30 for me. I gotta go.
Yeah,
Erica. Hey, Erica, let me know when your next live debunk is.
Hell yes, dude. I'm in.
I'm in too if I can be there.
Okay, guys.
What's your YouTube channel?
Gutsy Gibbon.
Gutsy Gibbon. Her videos are great.
Gutsy Gibbon?
Erica, I actually already shouted you out on this channel, on this live stream already.
Yo, dude, hell yeah. Thank you.
We were talking about it before.
I love the art. It's good.
I'm working on it. I wish I were a better artist, but I actually stepped on my drawing pad the other day, so I don't know when I'm going to be able to draw it.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, there was not alcohol involved, believe it or not. So
I think that might have been the problem.
I've seen your wine models, Erica.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know.
Wine models.
Listen, I am an American alcoholic. I am a UK regular citizen.
Look, all I'm saying is, all of my mistakes have not involved alcohol, as I am not of drinking age. As such, if I have alcohol, I am almost certain all of my mistakes will go away. That works, right?
It fixes everything. Don't even worry about it. That and the drugs. It's all fine. It's very healthy life choices.
Well,
all right. See you guys later.
Bye.
See ya.
And because something came up before that, I just I have to share with the class what it is that actually got spawned from this, and this is what we're going to be ending the show with, showing everyone.
A trilobite, right? That's a trilobite?
A giant isopod.
No, you want something that's really horrifying. There's a parasitic isopod species
that
eats
replaces the tongue
and then replaces the tongue functionally.
Yeah. I scrolled through a few of those, but this one, just something about the eyes just struck me. And
what's it called?
Forget hypnoisopod.
Yeah, this is a giant isopod.
Okay, let me. I'm going to say something that I think should actually sum this up.
There is no isopod, only Zool. No. This is the isopod to end all isopods. And with that, enjoy sleeping.
Terminator.
Enjoy sleeping, everyone. We'll
Good
see you tomorrow.
Night.
Let me rephrase that. Good night, everybody.